That's the only kind we should be discussing.
Oh
Yeah, I agree. They are the best
40k
tanks ever
tanks
made.
are better than...
Are you a fucking
tanks actually
heretic?
kill people,
Do you not
40k
worship?
tanks just make autistic people happy. One is clearly better.
Yeah, I can tell because I do like.
How's it going, guys? We are starting the Vicky 3 RP right now. We are waiting for the game to start, but while we do, we're going to be having a meeting with the Russians. One long do, and it's gonna be spicy.
Hello.
I'm gonna turn you up a little bit. Oh fuck, I have you at max. Can you turn your mic up at all? Actually, wait, hold on, let me check something. Say something again.
Is it any better now? Or worse?
Yes, that'll work. I just need to mess around with my settings a bit here. Alrighty. Wonderful. So, King Carlos himself has taken the time to travel to St. Petersburg to speak with your emperor, given that, I think, as our correspondence suggests, we have a long conversation due.
That is correct, and the Tsar is eager to hear this speech.
Well, to start off with, I'd like to thank you for receiving my correspondence, and I'd like to begin, if you wouldn't mind, with a short reading. A couple of preferred passages from our Holy Scripture.
Of course, please.
Fuck, hold on, let me find, it's on my note list. Here we go, beautiful. I will begin with a short reading from the Holy Scripture. There are 6 things which the Lord hates, yes, 7 which are an abomination to him. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that run rapidly to evil, and a false witness who bears lies, and one who spreads strife among brothers. Proverbs 6:16. For just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, so in Christ we, through many, form one body, and each member belongs to all others. Romans 12:4. As I put in my letter, I am seeking a radical change in policy for Spain, for the Catholic world, though I can only speak for my own nation, and for the future of Christendom. The Orthodox faith is a distant relative, misguided perhaps, but one that worships the same God. And in you, I have seen something that few other leaders in this time have. Many seek only political power, concessions, and other such things, but you are a religious man, and I see in you the light of the Lord that I see in few others. That is why I approached you about the letter. Now, regarding the first portion, Madagascar has been resolved, the Dutch will be standing down, and that is of no matter, so we can set that aside. So I will turn to the primary matter that I approached you about, which is the concerning of an attempt to get the Pope to acknowledge a final crusade, to take Jerusalem, and to establish the Holy Lands, and to once and for all, purge the Ottoman heathens from this earth, and restore an Orthodox nation in their place. Now, you have suggested to me that this is something you're interested in, but I don't think I have to tell you that it wouldn't come without much toil and much shed Christian blood, though to die for such an affair, one cannot ask any more. So my question then to you is under what terms you would wish for this to happen?
Well, thank you very much for us to take this visit into the St. Petersburg. I can only speak high of you as the true Christian and true conservative king and rightful king of Spain. So I welcome you here with open arms. And yes, I am more than happy, more than open to talk about the future of the Holy Land and the heathens are currently in Istanbul, which is rightfully should be Constantinople. As we said in our letters to you, there are some specific terms regarding this transition or regarding this crusade, and I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions regarding this.
Wonderful. I suppose the first question that needs to be had is exactly how we go about doing this. It was my hope that we would pursue this underneath the Holy Alliance themselves. I know that it is primarily an abstract organization that has done very little, but we feel as though Christian unity and strengthening of this organization through such a matter would be of use, which is why I do worry about your desire to control the Balkans, as the Austrian Empire, good friends of Spain, I'm sure would have some issue there. So my first question to you is whether or not you are willing to make this a larger affair. I approached you first and foremost because primarily I see you as a like-minded individual who holds Christ above all things, but also because you are a religious nation like Spain. And as such, if we were to come together and have resolute will before the Lord, I think that others would quickly follow.
Well, I think if the Austrians and or the Prussians would like to join this Holy Crusade, I am more than open to invite them. And as a Christian, I think it would be their holy duty to join that. But suggesting that we should give up any more Orthodox land, either to the Austrians or the Prussians in the Balkans, when they are already controlling the Orthodox Serbia, would be a suicide for me. Because, as you know, I am not only the father of the Orthodoxy, but also of all Slavs. And I cannot let the Slavs to go.
I understand, but I'm a practical man. We're both politicians here. We spend much time in government. You will know that the Austrians will not do this for nothing. So then the question is, how do we proceed in that capacity? I do not wish to turn away another son of Christ that would wish to fulfill his holy mission, and we would make it difficult for them if we do not provide valid interest. I mean, we have both much to gain.
Well, maybe we can make some minor territorial concession to the Austrians, because in the region of nowadays, what they call it, Albania, there isn't that much Orthodox or Catholic people. It's mostly a Muslim state. So I'm more than okay to give this concession to the Austrians if they want to join our holy cause. But otherwise, all the other majority Orthodox country or Orthodox region in the Balkan should be part of an Orthodox country.
In that case, before we go to them, my proposal is thus, as I was afraid this would be the case, so I do have a solution here. Spain would suggest then that the administration and overseeing of the holy nation of Jerusalem then be given to the Austrians to ensure that the heathen can properly be routed, and thereby giving them some measure of control in this affair, whereby Spain would then seek their own interests in North Africa and the Arabian Peninsula.
These are terms what we can agree to.
Good. And I think
also,
that
we have to talk about the Byzantine Empire, which you suggest that we restore.
I did.
Because it's also a majority Orthodox land. I think it must be under the Russian supervision, must be happen under the Russian crown.
We would have no issue with that. If the Austrians were to gain administration over the holy cities and to ensure that the kingdom of Christ was to remain solvent, you would have dominion over the Byzantium and return the Orthodox faith there to push out the heathen. And Spain would be capable of pushing out the heathens to North Africa and taking proper jurisdiction in Arabia to purge the region of the remaining influences of the heretics. And perhaps Prussia then would be given a small holding in the region of ancient Iraq.
That is absolutely unacceptable for me. As you know, my tension and my dispute with the Prussians is still very, very real and still very, very close. I am not willing to give the Prussians anything in this regard. I am more than happy to work together with the Austrians, but when it comes to the Prussians, I have my own reservation.
I have watched the affairs that have proceeded with Denmark with, I'm going to be quite frank, disgust. The obsession, I understand the Baltic is importance to your country, and I understand you are a man who must pursue the purpose of his country and its power with interest, and I respect that. But the petty fighting between members not only who share faith, but of the Holy Alliance, to me, it is at best a waste and at worst a crime against God. I do not mean to insult you here, but rather to suggest these petty conflicts. I know they matter in the relative small spheres that you have a mutual overlapping of, only causes division between good Christian nations, the few Christian nations who hold conservative values and hold Christ above secularism and liberalism. I have been so confused as to you, a religious man, pursuing such hostile actions with the Prussians.
Well, you have to understand my real was under a proper and real threat of security concern just created inside Danzig, and Russia refused to acknowledge that, and it took me such a long time and such a lot of diplomatic talks to even just to get them to the table. And now, with their recent posturing against a fellow Christian nation, against a fellow conservative king in Denmark, I think they cannot really be trusted in the international field, because they are ready to break a contract or a treaty which they already signed.
I'm not going to get caught up in the
before.
elaborate system you two have built with one another, but I know a simple fact, and that is that the so-called Christian king of Denmark, which he is, has been causing issues with Germanic peoples. This is of no concern. Cultural issues are irrelevant to the Spanish Empire, but it is relevant due to the fact that half of the Holy Alliance is made up of Germanic states, which causes a problem. Denmark is an irrelevant second status nation, and I understand for you that they're a piece on your board, and I respect that. But to divide the Holy Alliance for such a thing? You are throwing away the potential to have a Catholic, a Christian alliance by which we can exert Christian influence through parts of the world that have not had it. The Ottomans and the Holy Land could just be the beginning. There are other lands that could also see the light of Christ if we work together.
Well, in order to conduct this negotiation in good faith as well, I'm willing to make a sacrifice and let the Prussians to take some territories out of this decision, but it cannot be inside of Iraq. But I can accept as a Prussian claim is the Quasimid state just south of the Arabian Peninsula, which is currently under Ottoman rule.
We could agree, but I do want to also, before we go to the others, I want to delegate this. In my eyes, Byzantium would be the region of Anatolia, and then the Greek one. So the Iraqi region would then be probably given to the Holy State of Jerusalem. Do that you have an issue with?
Would it be also consist of Syria and other parts of former Turkey, like Lebanon, Aleppo, and such?
Aleppo, Deir, and then going down to Mosul. I mean, the rest of it up in the north would fall into Byzantium, as they did have strong rule in those lands in ancient days. I have read much of the history of Roman Byzantium in my younger years. Their faith was an inspiration to our love of the Lord.
Well, I can only accept this form under Austria, Jerusalem, if they are willing to give Albania to either to Bulgaria or to Greece.
Well, that is a question then for Austria. We have a general agreement. All I wanted for us is to get on the same page in regards to these issues as the territorial ones.
In general, yes, we have an agreement.
Good. I'm very glad to hear that. In that case, I would think that it is worth calling a Holy Alliance meeting as soon as things begin here. And I do wish to say on a personal note that if this goes well, and even if it does not, Spain is very interested in pursuing closer relations with Russia. We sent out several missives regarding the Dutch affair in Madagascar, and you are one of only very few countries who actually gave any support. Though I know you wish for clarification on it, you did give the option of support, and it's something that we will remember very keenly in the coming years. At least I will.
Of course, we are more than open and more than happy to help our Spanish Catholic friends regarding any issues. And yes, if it would be the case that war would break out or would have been break out in Madagascar, I think the Russian Imperial Navy would easily help.
Thankfully,
blockade
we
the
have
colonies.
resolved the matter, but it means much to
Yes.
me and my nation that you would show us that support. And as such, I would like to make you a formal extension of friendship by offering you the chance to involve Russian architects and workers, if you would like, in the construction of the Cross of St. Augustine. I'm not sure if you are aware of what we plan to build in Morocco when this war is done.
I am more than happy to accept this very generous offer.
Good. Spain intends for the cross to be built in the next decade, and it will stand as a great monument for all who cross the strait to see the power of Christianity both in Europe and in Africa. And we shall fly the Russian flag alongside our own.
While the Russian state would also be happy to contribute financially to this monument as well.
I thank you, but I cannot allow it, as I will be paying for it personally with my own royal family's funds and that of the state of Spain. It is important that we fund this project, and in order to show our resolve for Christianity in all regions of the world. But I thank you.
I understand.
Very well. It is a pleasure meeting with you, Emperor. I am sad that this is only our second formal meeting in person, and I hope that there will be many more, perhaps at the gates of Jerusalem and in the walls of Constantinople.
Thank you very much for your time and for your travel here in St. Petersburg. I wish you a very, very pleasant trip back to Madrid, and please, as a gift, accept this large shipment of the finest Russian vodka that's ever made.
You are too kind. I will put them to good use, I can assure you. We will speak soon.
Thank you very much.
All right, cool. Holy Alliance meeting when we get going then.
Yep. I don't know if it's gonna be before the Congress or
Yeah, true. It might be after. Hopefully before. If we could get on the same page about that, we'll see.
Oh yeah, that would be better because I want to talk shit about the Russians in the Congress.
I don't doubt that. I mean, if that war goes with France and they're doing their thing, I mean, I think we'd talk with Austria and just move ahead, frankly. Like, out of RP, the Spanish government repeatedly tried to get the Prussians to calm the fuck down, and they're not. So if they want to go waste their time in Denmark, I understand why he's doing it, of course, but still.
Yeah, of course, me too. There are no hard feelings between me and John.
Nice. Oh, and someone that paused. Beautiful. That might fuck the game. Oh. All right, sounds good. I will see you very soon then.
All right, take care, Andrew.
All right, so y'all heard that. For background, it's been 2 weeks since the last game, and given that there's fucking over 50 players in the game, it's just been all Dippo in the last 2 weeks. I don't know how many fucking letters I sent. It's been a lot. There's been a lot of RP, a lot of discussion going on, and the main one of which is that we approached, well, fuck, I should get all the background stuff right now. So the major things that happened is that I didn't realize in the end of last session, the Dutch invaded Madagascar. Madagascar was one of like really only 2 regions I'd planned for us to go after in Africa, so that was a huge deal. We had basically talks with them and a few other people, including the French, to try and get them to back down and not puppet it, because that was the next thing we were going to do after Morocco, and it got pretty close. There was the risk of escalation at one point, and there was the risk of outright war, but in the end they did back down, so we will be able to get our claims in Madagascar. The other thing that happened, which I'd actually planned out since the start of the game if we won as the Carlists, is that we finally approached the Russians about what I'd been wanting to do with the Ottomans, which is that we would partition the Ottoman state and return the Kingdom of Jerusalem. So I want to reiterate, for King Carlos, he is, if you look at his traits, like he's ambitious, he's a diplomat, he's an expert political operator, but he's incredibly religious. Historically, the Carlists, and him especially, was a very deeply pious man. He should frankly have that trait. So all of my diplomacy and all of my RP will be kind of built around that. I mean, along with rebuilding, of course, the Spanish Empire as a great power. So one thing I wanted to do since the beginning was to launch basically another crusade. I hoped we'd have a Papal States player so that we could actually do that RP, but since we don't, we'll have to kind of go around it a little bit. So what we discussed there will be the breaking apart of the Ottoman state. So there is a player on the Ottomans. He'd play probably Byzantium after, whereby we're going to completely destroy the Ottoman Turks, given how weak the Muslims are in this game. It will be the final blow, and we'll establish the state of Jerusalem, and then Spain plans to establish a puppet in Saudi Arabia, and we will be destroying the Muslim holy cities. So that is the plan I've been wanting to do, and it looks like we may actually have that happen. There's a Greece player. You can't have both? should be able to have both. Well, we'll have to have a sit down and figure it out then. All right, but yeah, we are going. I have to have a question, but what did you say about the Fair Lords / Ladies mod? Make sure they're right below Game of Thrones. Mod order, like the mods that you put in order in CK3 matter a lot. Make sure that you have the Fair Ladies and Fair Lords one at the top, right below the main Game of Thrones mod. So the main Game of Thrones mod should be at the top, and then make sure those two are like right below it, is what I was suggesting. All right. I want to see if I can do a few things before we get going here. I'm going to unmute and undeafen. But we are at war in Morocco, of course. I have a few things I need to do. All right, we need to start on the arms factories.
Hammo,
Yes.
I've just come to tell you, out of character, since I was watching your stream waiting for the game to start.
Yeah.
There is a player on Greece, so if you do your plan, then that'll just be a player kill on me, which I don't mind. I'm just informing.
No. We're not going to do a player kill. I don't care if we have to do it RP or whatever, but we'll sit down after and figure out how it's going to do. I don't think the Holy War would probably happen today anyway, but
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I was just informing you because you said, oh, they'll probably put me on Byzantium, and I'm just telling you.
They
that
have separate
possible
tags though, so we might be able to get a save edit where we form Byzantium and then have Greece like be released separately and do it that way.
Yeah. Maybe,
So.
maybe. Anyway,
If not, we'll go around it. Yep, cool.
All right,
Absolutely.
See you later.
We need to build our government administrations. We'll build them in New Castile. 7, 8. And then when we're done with that, we'll work on 2 tool workshops, 2 steel mills, and what was the other thing I needed to make? Textiles. No, food. And then we work on textiles. For once, I actually looked at my country this week, or the last 2 weeks, and planned out what we're going to do. Not completely, but just to get our economy back on track. Cool. We have all the buildings set up for a while. We're good on that. I need to switch. Did I already switch my strategic interest regions? I did not. Tech-wise, what did I order? It was going to be stock exchange, and then we will go to railways, and then we'll go to... I thought you can order these now. Can you not? Fuck.
Greetings.
Hello there.
Greetings. This is Chancellor Carl Ludwig von Pickelmont. I wish to speak with King Carlos.
I am happy to speak with you. Before we get into things, I would like to formally call a meeting of the Holy Alliance at the next opportunity. I'm not sure if we have time before the Congress, but it is my intention to do so.
I see. Yes.
we
I
can-
don't think that we can before the Congress. I am.
We will do it
aware of
after.
the situation.
In that case, I think
Yeah.
I will probably need to briefly overview what we'll be discussing as well. But what brings you to Madrid, my friend?
Yeah. My apologies. Domestic policy has been very busy. My hands have been tied with the clergy and the nobility here. So now I'm back to my original duties for foreign relations. I have received your letter, Your Highness, and basically, I want to know, have you read it?
I did.
I will reply.
And I
Yes.
understand completely your situation. I am very thankful to say that this situation appears to have been resolved, as it is the intent of the Dutch. Publicly, they have stated to back down in that situation. So it looks like we will not need to pursue anything, which is good. I have no desire to fight Christians. I have said that, and I will say it again, time and time. It is no interest of my government nor my state, as it is a crime, though one that unfortunately is necessary at times.
Yes, understood. All right. If that is the case, is there anything else you would?
There is. I am going to go ahead and give you a talk, and I'm glad, Ambassador, that you're here. I wish I could speak with the Kaiser himself, but we will, I suppose, have to make do.
The thing is, sorry to interrupt you, Your Highness, but whatever the Kaiser wishes, he has personally appointed me to speak on his behalf. I will be frank with you, Your Highness. He is unfortunately not able to travel due to his health.
I am aware of that
so-
situation.
Yes. So, you can trust me as he has entrusted me to serve him.
In that case, I will make clear what I have already spoken with the Russians about to you as well. Are you a religious man, Ambassador?
Of course, I am very much a God-fearing man.
Do you see anything above your duty to act in the interests of Christ, our Redeemer?
Most definitely.
Then I think you will understand the situation well. The proposal I made to Russia, which I once had an idea for, a dream and inspiration, in fact. When I was at my lowest in the mountains of the Pyrenees, surrounded by liberals, watching my nation fall to ruin, I had a great vision from the Lord. And in that, I saw the kingdom of Jerusalem restored. I saw the heathen purged from this earth. And I saw the flag of Spain reign over a Catholic kingdom the world over. And now that I am in a position in order to administer an empire, one that is rebuilding quickly, I think it is time for me to directly pursue that mission, which is why, in the next meeting with the Holy Alliance, I will be calling for its members to cooperate in seeking aid from the Pope and calling a final crusade to rid the earth of the Ottoman threat, to establish the kingdom of Jerusalem, and to restore Christian nations in the region. And I hope that is something that your government, as God-fearing men, would see eye to eye on.
I see. That is indeed a very noble idea, and what may the decadent Republican nations may not agree with, we can definitely speak about this in the Holy Alliance. Um, uh, what a great vision, Your Highness, and hopefully we can bring this on the table.
We absolutely will. I would like to know the opinion of your government at this time about this proposal, though.
Currently, we believe in keeping the balance of power, and I see that a final crusade does not seem to upset the balance, as the Ottoman state, to be frank with you, is no longer a contentious power in Europe. So
Their last of their powers died when in the Treaty of Bulgaria, when the lands were ceded there. They are nothing but an empty hollow shell, as far as we see it.
Indeed. Yes, indeed.
In that case, I do wish to make it clear to you, it is Spain's wish that the administration of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, the conversion of the heathen or their dispelling, and the protecting of the Holy City do go to Austria, and the Russians do agree on this.
I am. I believe I thought the Spanish were to receive this.
As
I must have
much
misheard you.
as much as I would like to be able myself to oversee such an affair, we think that in order to pursue unity in the Holy Alliance, it is worthwhile to pursue this end. We ourselves plan to rid Arabia itself of the Muslim plight.
I see, of course. And this final crusade seems like once again a noble idea to bring back the power of Christendom to where it belongs and to where Jesus himself was born, and in the Middle East, and it's very important.
Precisely.
Yes. Well, I must get back before the Congress is called.
Very well.
And I'm very glad to be able to speak with you, Your Highness.
And you as well. I look forward to your support in the Holy Alliance meeting in the future. Farewell, Ambassador.
Very well. Thank you.
They're on the fence, which I figured. How goes the Reconquista? It goes very well. We currently are absolutely demolishing their armies in North Africa. Also, I will give you guys a link if you're in the Discord if you want to read like my plans for today, because they're all in the post I did. I don't know if any of y'all are interested in reading the Diplo statements we do for these games, but this one will kind of give you an idea of basically everything I'm going to be doing in the next couple sessions. So I will link that to y'all real quick. Beautiful. Okay. We have the Congress starting very soon. Let's see if that's begun already. It has not. We have some time here. Okay, so the other major thing that has been happening all week, last 2 weeks really, is that there's been a lot of tension between Prussia and Denmark. Denmark had been basically subjecting Germans to unequal rule and had been pushing them out of territories they controlled, and it was an elaborate process. The Russians were backing Denmark for a while. They aren't anymore. Prussia's intending to go to war to Denmark to push them out of Holstein, and I think Schleswig too, and France is intending to join the war, so Prussia will be fighting a two-front war. That being said, Prussia on land is far superior than the French, so we'll see how this goes. Let's build a couple more construction sectors as well. Then let's look at our trade routes. For the most part, all right. Sugar exports. No one wants to buy our sugar. There is a lot of it available at this point. Is Cuba in the game? Or the Philippines? I need to talk with both of them. And the Dutch. They haven't transferred that territory to us yet. Good. They honored their promise. Then it looks like we're good. All right, for tech, we're going to go after stock exchanges, railroads, and then we're going to go all the way to mechanized workshops, and we're going to begin our massive textile industries in Spain. The other notable thing is that Qing had planned to sell us Macau, but it had been sold to the Americans instead, so they broke their word with us, which we do view as a very large deal, but we're going to get to that later. I also don't understand how the fuck the US has a treaty with the Qing, given America, like, was so racist towards China in this time period. Like, no one liked the Chinese in the US. It's kind of crazy. Alright. There is someone else I want to speak to if we can as well. Hello there. Do you have time for our meeting in Sevilla?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Sorry?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm in Portugal.
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome to Portugal.
Thank you. Did you have time to do the meeting that we talked about?
Yes.
Cool. Alrighty. Netherlands, was this going to be a long thing?
No, it was me discussing payment for the auction treaty.
Yeah. Okay, we agreed on 1 million, I think, right? Let's see
1
how much.
million for both me and the Dutch East Indies.
Okay, if you start that straight transfer, I'll start subsidies to you right now then. If I can. No, I won't be able to because we have bad relations, don't we?
Maybe I believe.
No, I don't have fucking central banking, so I can't. Okay, what we'll do is just save edit then. I actually assumed that you were going to put one in, but I should have just done it myself. Now that I think about it, that was on me. We can do a save edit to just have those funds transferred before next week if you want to do that.
That's fine.
If you want to hold on to the region till then, that's totally fine too. I'm not too worried about it.
Works for me.
Cool, sounds good.
Alright. Talk to you later.
You as well. Alright. Welcome to Sevilla. I am very glad to have you here and glad that you have come.
Yes, we are glad as well to be here.
We were very glad to see the contents of your message in response to our discussions about Macau. It is quite unfortunate that the Qing have broken their word with us, but I mean, what can one say? To good Christians, word is bond, but to heathens, all manner of immorality is considered legitimate, so we should not be surprised. Regardless, an unfortunate affair. I wish to speak to you in this meeting regarding the future of colonial cooperation. As I'm sure you know, Morocco is at present falling to the warriors of Christ and the Knights of Santiago. When we're done with that, we intend to pursue Madagascar as a stable colony. And then from there, we are going to be thinking about a larger degree of the world. We saw you put out a public statement that after your war in Transvaal, it is your intent to stop colonial expansion in Africa. Did I get that correctly?
No,
Nope.
we do not expect to stop our expansion in Africa. Our main goal is to consolidate our presence in this area. So our next move is to puppet the Zululand, since Portuguese Mozambique is constantly being raided by slave traders, imprisoning our subjects and forcing them to go to their lands and to work as slaves. So we are to ban slavery and to puppet the Zululand. That's our next move.
I
And
see.
until there's an international conference in Europe about Africa, this will be our next and final move until then.
I see. Well, that's good to
Yes.
hear. In that way, can Spain be of any assistance to you in this matter?
No, we don't think there is a need for it, though we do very much appreciate it. The Zulu, they are not a match for us, so they will be easily conquered and put in our empire.
That's good to hear. I'm sure it's no matter. But regardless, if you ever require aid, all you must do is ask. In that
Okay.
case...
Yes.
I've been sent to invite you to the Congress of Europe that's currently
Oh,
being
we're going on.
held.
Alright, cool. We can continue this after them.
Okay, very well. Very
That's
well,
good.
sir.
James, we've met in a neutral city of Luxembourg.
Oh,
Luxembourg.
Yeah.
I
smaller-
I
So we
apologize
are-
for being late. We are indeed we were frankly called by having an insurrection again from an Italian state, and that is why we have been late today.
Good luck with that. So we are all here.
Okay.
I believe so. I've invited the
Right.
as many people as I could find.
Fabia, I know we are not supposed to make speeches, but I prefer so that I don't lose my sentences going through. So, gentlemen, sir, sorry in advance for the length of the introduction speech, but the gravity of the situation forced me to do so. When we received the news of the North German demands to Denmark, we had to read it twice because we simply could not believe it. The French government helped the North German Confederation by reassuring and convincing the Russian Empire to sign the Danzig Accords. We also acknowledged concerns about Russian interference into German affairs, and we condemned any form of aggressive moves targeting them. During ongoing negotiation for the recognition of the North German Federation, we had been told that this unification process would be limited in order to respect the sovereignty of other states. But it appears now that the North German Federation used us to be recognized and to make this accord signed, which we weren't informed at all that Denmark's sovereignty over Schleswig was involved. We are obviously extremely disappointed, and we believe the new North German Federation would act as a mature state to present itself as a decent new member of the Concert of Europe. It is actually very pity for them to behave that way, because now the Concert knows what they are, a federation that rejects principles of the Westphalian order and that lies multiple times to their peers. I would also like to remind that Denmark has sacrificed its territorial integrity back in 1840, with great compliance in face of the German Federation threats. Also, the fact that Denmark has colonies in Africa is in no fact a threatening move towards the North German Federation, rather a compensating move for the loss of Holstein. Amid the Treaty of Schleswig-Holstein, it has been stated that Schleswig is clearly part of the Danish kingdom. Now the North German Federation wants to violate the treaty with void claims. They are justifying it by interfering in Danish internal affairs, what precisely they blamed on the Russian Empire. The North German Federation also claims that it is doing this because of the North German conditions in the region. But truly, what only interests them is taking more lands to the Denmark. The proof is that when Denmark proposed the revision of the citizenship law in favor of North Germans' acceptation, it was refused by Sir Otto von Bismarck. We cannot stand any more this hypocrisy and lies. To that end, we strongly suggest that the Kingdom of Denmark to pass a new citizenship law at their chambers so that the Germans are clearly no longer discriminated as they proposed. If the North German Federation still wants to pursue their expansion, the Kingdom of France will officially guarantee the Kingdom of Denmark. Thank you very much.
Here.
So there could be a war between Prussia and
The North
France.
German Federation would like to respond by saying thank you for everyone for inviting us to our first Congress of Europe as the North German Federation, and thank you to the countries who have recognized us as such. We would like to say that this matter is not a matter of North German expansionism. This is a matter of the German people who are suffering in Schleswig. The Treaty of Schleswig-Holstein of 1840 was signed with the understanding that the Germans living in Schleswig and Holstein would receive a better standard of living, would receive less discrimination, and that the forced assimilation campaigns would have ended. And while these campaigns have ended, from our understanding, the remnants and legacies of them remain. Germans actually have a lower socioeconomic standing in Schleswig since this treaty that was signed 4 years ago now. Is our understanding that our brothers in Holstein are not under these under these same conditions, as they have been granted their independence, and that is why we are calling for the independence of Schleswig as an independent member state of the German Confederation.
In the Treaty of Schleswig-Holstein, there is no clause that states the conditions of the Germans, the North Germans. Only the assimilation decrease, and also, as we said, Denmark proposed to alleviate the situation, and then you said it was not enough.
Because our understanding is that the only way that this situation can be alleviated is if Schleswig is released as an independent state within the German Confederation.
No, we reject this.
No
First of all, we would like to thank the French side.
I'm sorry, we didn't ask the Danish to speak. That anyone
But we
invite
are
the Danish to
invited,
speak?
aren't we?
Are you
The Russian Empire would like
on the French delegation has invited Denmark, and this highly regards.
No, I understand that why they're here, but they're speaking in the matter before the other great powers have had their say.
Well,
our
Prussia
concerns.
can shush the Poles down, but not the Danes, gentlemen.
Spain does agree. If there's any other great powers that would speak, they have prominence over such a country.
The Ottoman Empire would like to invite the Kingdom of Sweden-Norway to the discussion table, as this would affect them in some way, as it is their region.
Yes.
You
We would
can
agree.
only
Yes, of
invite
course.
one nation as a great power.
I have not invited any. Sweden-Norway is in that's the official title of Sweden at this point. I'm not saying it brings both people. I'm saying it's the
That's fine.
status of the country.
I understand.
Okay, they're not in.
The Russian Empire don't know why major power like Ottomans are here. We thought this is only about the great powers in Europe, so we reject to invite.
The Germans will formally
Norway.
invite the Swedish to be invited up to speak as well.
We do
think
acknowledge the Russians as well, and
it's-
suggest that the suggestions that the Ottomans is still a great power is preposterous.
We could say the same about the Kingdom of Spain.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can invite the Swedish representative because that clearly affects them as well.
Sweden may speak.
In the meanwhile, the Russian Empire would like to say how concerned we are that the North German Federation, only 3 years after signing the Treaty of Schleswig-Holstein, are clearly trying to break this treaty, which is not only signed by them and the Danish realm, but by Austria and the Russian Empire as well. So this move by the North German Federation would clearly question their intention to the Westphalian system, as the French delegation here mentioned before. And it's a great concern for us to see this kind of nationalistic diplomacy taking over in Berlin.
This very chamber has been formed to protect the princes as the building block of Europe. Monarchies between which laws and agreements are binding, instead of proposals of nationalism.
The Danish delegation would like to request to talk.
Of course, you may speak.
Thank you. We just find it ironic and quite dangerous from Prussia that they rejected every attempt of a peaceful solution on this question. We already dropped 1/3 of our territorial, of our territory in Europe. Lost a lot of industrial and economical goods. We signed treaties that the Prussian side doesn't really acknowledge, as we can see. And we want, for this day, in the Schleswig-Holstein talks, we want the Austrian delegates that we will exactly be in this room today, talking about the fate of Schleswig. But all we can see is that Prussia doesn't want peace, but war and total destruction against the Danish people. We offered them a lot. We offered them reasonable things, like even colonies, even though that they are very important for us and our economy and survival. We offered them Danish close alignment to Prussia, but they demanded all our colonial empire as well as Schleswig, and this is something that we need to reject. Prussia is the biggest threat of the current world order.
I dispute that. The biggest threat is France, and we all know this.
The German delegation agrees.
Who said that?
I'll give you 2 guesses, sir.
And why do I... Why do I deserve this reputation?
The Ottoman Empire would like to dispute the British claim, as the French have not been supporting breakaway states from other sovereign nations of Europe.
I don't fully understand why you're being allowed to right now.
I not think that accusations of one nation being the greatest threat is constructive. Of course, we all remember the horrors of the Napoleonic War, but I believe that the King of France has not shown himself to be an enemy of our current order, of laws, of the Westphalian rights to all princes to govern his own domain as he wishes. This is the baseline of our order.
However, the North German delegation is making very fair and clear demands of Denmark to establish a lasting peace in the North German region and in the continent, and they have not ceded to those demands. And the French are willing to back the Danish on those demands, which is showing their willingness to threaten the order of the Europe.
The lasting peace we had this in the first Schleswig-Holstein talks. It didn't last it long, did it, Prussia?
You've already agreed to terms, and how do you?
Because the situation for Germans in the region has only worsened. So what was the point of this treaty if the German situation was only going to be worse, that their legal status within Denmark was only going to worsen, and that they would begun to be paid a lower wage than their Danish counterparts? It has only worsened for them. So at what point do we say that this treaty is there's no worth to it anymore?
It was not part of the treaty, and also Denmark is proposing a solution.
Their solution, when they say they're offering us colonies, these are these are not enough. It needs to be the independence of Schleswig.
I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about the citizenship law that will make them the North German accepted.
Because this should have happened 3 years ago. It should not happen that 3 years after the treaty is signed, 4 years now after the treaty is signed, that Germans are continuing their situation in Denmark is continuing to worsen and not get better. So why should we give them the good faith of allowing them to continue to further their grasp on the German people of Schleswig when they clearly have shown no willingness or no good faith efforts to end the discrimination of Germans in the region?
It is not true. We need to reject the Prussian claims because the North German population in Schleswig grew. They didn't get assimilated into the Danish culture. They even grew, and we have data for this. They grew and they're continuing to grow.
Laws takes time also to be implemented. So it's only 3 years, and also it was not part of the treaty. So you don't have to blame them for that. And yet they are still very conciliant.
Okay, and also part of the treaty was not that we cannot revisit this issue in 4 years when Germans would continue to be discriminated against. So we're not violating the treaty in any way.
You are violating.
How are we violating it? What terms of the treaty are the North Germans violating?
The treaty clearly said that the region of Schleswig should be further integrated and annexed by the Danish state. Any
Okay, but
other
that does not
attempt to make
that
it
does not recognize anything on our end. That just says that that is the terms of what the Danish will do on their end. The treaty does not state that the North Germans recognize this as a Danish territory, and
You
it does not
signed the
state
treaty, but
that we cannot
they
revisit this
agree,
issue
recognize that.
if we see fit.
Why
So
don't
you-
you
You signed
accept?
the treaty in the first place.
We signed the treaty because of your pressure and your willingness to meddle in
My
our own
pressure.
affairs. Yes.
My pressure, sir. We were the one who were willing to compensate the Danish state financially after your demands, and after they gave up.
They were very
one-third of the
reasonable
land.
demands, sir.
You gained the most in this treaty, so I would not let it call you.
We did not gain
like
anything in this treaty. We did not gain any territory in this
Yeah,
treaty.
of course. We all
not.
know at some point Holstein will be integrated.
We reject this notion.
Well, we'll see in the future.
Why did Prussia then reject my offer of a treaty that both of us will not touch Schleswig and Holstein?
Because this
Schleswig.
because this limits the self-determination of the German people of those regions.
So you plan to annex them?
I don't
even though
plan.
that you-
There's plans of annex is a very strong wording it is very clear in the Treaty of Frankfurt that that states within the German Confederation of North German culture may politically integrate. We may petition to politically integrate with the North German Confederation, and that is not annexing in any way. That is an integration. It is peaceful. It is diplomatic, and it's not coerced in any way.
Herr Bismarck, this very institution is made to combat nationalism and liberalism, and to uphold the rights of princes to rule the
And
realm
yes,
of
and
domains.
those are my views as well.
No.
My appointment as chancellor was not a slight to the monarchy or to the royal princes of the German Confederation in any way. I come here representing them. They still retain their sovereign powers, their titles in every single way, and they have no complaints in that regard because their sovereignty, their right to rule. It has, and their monarchical status has not been threatened in any way, and that's why I am here representing all of them as a combined force.
Well,
Well,
it's all good words.
what of the Westphalian rights of the King of Denmark in regards to his own domain in Schleswig?
It is our view
to
that
be honest,
I was elected.
I
Sorry,
would
go
like
ahead.
to hear from Austria. I want to know what
Yes.
Austria's position is on this matter. Do you mind taking the floor and telling us what your views are?
Well, we would be happy to take on the floor. Gentlemen, this situation, frankly, is about the balance of power, yes. And in Austria's view, to uphold that motion, this conflict with France and Prussia, and we must state it clearly that what Prussia wishes to do with Denmark, that is not our concern. But any infringement on German Confederation borders must be called on the defense by Austria. We will state it clearly now that any foreign troops into the German Confederation will be retaliated with by Austrian men. As you can see, gentlemen, right now there is a conflict in Italy that we are crushing, and this just shows our perseverance of our armies and in the defense of the German people. So I must remind any nation politely, respectfully, that they cannot interfere militarily in German Confederation territories. If they wish to do anything outside of that, then Austria will not intervene. So that's to be stated clearly.
And just to clarify, if French troops were to cross the Rhine, that would include Austrians' support for Germans, correct? In the defense of the
I
German
believe
Confederation.
is the Rhine in German Confederation borders?
Correct.
We did not. We only stated that we wanted to protect Denmark.
Yes, and why
Yes,
do we
for us
even need
to
to talk
involve
about the
us.
scenario? Why do we
what-
need to talk about that? Why is Prussia so obsessed with getting Danish territories
if France
and
is going
colonies?
to if France is going to defend Denmark in their unwillingness to cede to fair and just demands, then that opens up a border on the Rhine, and as such, Austria must be willing to defend the Rhine in the event of French invaders.
May I have a
You
floor?
are the invader in this scenario, Herr Bismarck.
Okay. Mr. Bismarck, you are infringing on sovereign territory that was justified during the Treaty of Schleswig-Holstein. You're also, and I quote, said earlier that you cared about the fact that you did not get any land during that treaty. So your entire goal of this is to get land again.
We are
And
not
you're
asking for land. We're asking for
infringing
the release of
You're
Schleswig.
infringing on Danish sovereignty.
Spain would like to just
as
ask why there are
justified
two
by-
Denmarkian ambassadors who are speaking at this time, let alone one is already, I mean, allowed of course, but quite extreme. So I would ask that your delegation get its order together.
Well, we didn't got any notification that we are only able to send one delegate, so we took our ambassador with us.
You're lucky to be
you're
here,
not used
Ambassador.
to the goings on of major powers. I understand that, and you now are aware. So please just simply change your behavior.
Yes, one Danish delegation here, please.
All right.
Only.
What the North German Federation is calling for is the release of an independent Schleswig within as a member state of the German Confederation, and this is not for the gain of North Germans. This is for the gain of North Germans, but this is not for the gain of the North German Federation. We are not gaining any territory. We are not asking for anything for ourselves. All we are asking for in this moment is for the release of Schleswig as an independent state, and that is a fair and just concession that the Danish should make in order to save our continent from war.
Yeah,
And
but
what will be the next? Because we are only after 3 years of the Treaty of Schleswig-Holstein, when you said you are not asking anything, only this region of Holstein. What will be the next? Alsace, German-lived Bohemia.
This is much different, as the Germans who live in Alsace-Lorraine are not legally discriminated against. They have the same legal status within the French kingdom. They earn the same wages. They have the same jobs, and this is not the same case in Schleswig, who the North Germans who are living there are discriminated against, and as such, this is a much different case. And any attempts to compare this to Alsace-Lorraine will not be heard.
Well, we need to reject this again, because again, the German population is growing without any stop. They aren't discriminated again as Prussia tries to portray it. We need to reject this very strongly. This is simply not true. The German population is not discriminated against. They get fair wages, and we embrace their language again. We executed...
We'll mute for just a moment because this is really fucking long. It is interesting. And if you don't like slower, diplomatic gameplay, you probably won't enjoy any of these campaigns. We are at war now. A couple of things to note here that have been happening is that we are at war. We're going to be bringing Mascar under our control as a puppet, which is our other major thing we wanted to do in Africa. So after that, we will be working primarily on the economy. We have a stock exchange now in Madrid, which we will be pursuing in order to get better access to markets and trade throughout Europe. And our economy is growing, our quality of life is growing, so we're really moving quick here. Just to comment that before we get back to listening to the French and the Danes yell, and the Prussians.
I noticed that the territory population is virtually evenly split between Germans and Danes, and that both nations feel that it should be part of them. Would it be possible to consider that the realm be allowed to be independent and neutral? As a demilitarized independent
That is what the
state between Sweden or between Prussia?
That's what we were
that's
asking
what Prussia's
for.
asked for? I thought Prussia wanted it to become
No,
part
Prussia
of the
wants it to be. Prussia wants it to be independent with the option of joining the North German Confederation in future if they desire to.
What
And they
about
probably will
independent, but perpetually independent, as neither part of the North German Federation or...
This would be limiting their self-determination.
And this is not fair for Denmark that already lost territories and
Well,
for
this
their
is just a
economy as well.
It's not. It is fair because they have neglected their duties to the German people living in Schleswig.
No,
We
they are
Danes did
proposing
more than-
solutions.
Exactly, we Danes did more than any other culture in Europe to protect the German
Germans remain
minority.
discriminated against legally. So any
Just like Poles
attempts
in
to paint
Prussia.
any attempts. We are not here to speak of Poles. We are here to speak of Germans.
Laws,
It's
as I said,
hypocrisy, though.
But the Danes in Holstein are also discriminated against, and Denmark does not attack the sovereignty of Holstein.
We
never
do
had that.
not control Holstein.
How does the German want to control Holstein if they cannot even control their own
We don't even control. We don't control Holstein. We're not asking for the control of Holstein. This is
They're creating a
absurd.
sphere of influence.
They're not in. They're not even in within the. They're not even within the German customs union. This is absurd to state that because Danes are discriminated against in Holstein. This is the fault of mine. That it is the fault of the Danish realm for causing so much anti-German sentiment that is spilled over into the territory of Holstein and has caused tensions between the people.
We are repeating ourselves.
But why can't the Schleswig be perpetually neutral and perpetually independent?
Because this would be limit. We want them to be independent, and if they decide to petition our government to join our federation, it would be dealt with in the same manner as any other country.
And what if Poland wished to leave? Did they have that option?
Yes, they do. That is part of the accords, the Treaty of Frankfurt. They have the ability to leave.
They have the ability to leave and become an
yes. So this is there's no coercion involved at all. This is purely the self-determination of the German people, and more importantly, it needs to be a German monarch sitting on the crown of Schleswig. The Duke of Schleswig must be a German.
Why must he be a German?
Because it is a German land.
No.
The Danish, I would say, disagree with that. So why?
Yes.
Why must it be a German? Could it be someone who is neither German nor Danish?
Icelandic?
No. But that doesn't make
I
any
mean,
sense.
I'm
Listen,
French.
this is beginning to run on too long. Our final demands that the North German Federation is making is an independent state of Schleswig within the German Confederation, and that is our final demands. And this is a just and fair demand that the Danish must consider in order to avoid war in our continent, and the French willingness to support Denmark in the discrimination of North Germans is unacceptable.
Again, to the detriment of Denmark.
And the Russian Empire would like to officially support the Swedish idea about this resolution. I think it would create a legally independent Schleswig, which cannot join the future confederation. This deal can make a real sacrifice and real compromise by both nations.
But Denmark will
with Russia.
again lose so much. They need to be compensated.
Schleswig is part of the Danish Empire since the Viking ages, and we will not give it back because of demands of Herr Bismarck. We would never give it back. No nation on earth would give back or give away parts of their territory what they hold for so long. It is Danish and it will always be.
I will remind there was a war quite recently in 1826. Sorry. After this was an agreement which stated Schleswig-Holstein was both part of ruled by the King of Denmark as independent duchies. This was approved by the Prussians. Now, after Denmark has given up Holstein, Prussia once again demands more. I would like to raise the question of how
we did successfully land, so Madagascar will fall very shortly here.
Any terms or any agreements made by the Prussians, if only a few years after terms have been agreed and negotiations have been concluded, how can any nation trust the Prussians?
Is because Denmark has failed their end of the bargain in our view.
Which exact stipulation was this?
It was the understanding of our delegation in signing this treaty that the discrimination of Germans would end in these states, and it has not happened.
That was not the
part. How can a prince so quickly?
Because it's gotten worse. That is our argument. It's not. If it has remained the same or gotten slightly better, I could understand some concerns in us bringing it up so quickly, but the situation has only devolved into much worse terms for and conditions for German citizens.
Why is the German population then growing year by year in Schleswig? Why are they so happy there?
And also, as we said, enacting laws, especially citizenship laws, takes time. It's only been 3 years.
But why is the situation worsened than instead of better then? There's been no explanation for that.
Integration into Denmark as the treaty stipulates.
Well, that was they told me their promise was that they would integrate this state further in order to better the status of the German people, and it has only worsened since that. So how could we trust them?
Because they're proposing to change the citizenship law again.
Because we're now almost 5 years since the end of the treaty. This is absurd.
But they're proposing it right now, and as I said, it takes time.
This is not a acceptable this is not an acceptable concession. This should have been the concession made 4 years ago. If this was their plan. If they truly wanted the betterment of the German people, when they integrated the state further, they should have taken in regards the citizenship laws and the socioeconomic status of the German people and their legal status, and they did not, and they failed their terms of this treaty.
Bismarck needs to understand that we can't just flip a coin and change our population or institutions immediately. We needed to build more bureaucratic offices. We needed to prepare Schleswig for the transition into.
It's only worsened.
It isn't true. Why is the German population then growing again?
But they are now legally discriminated against. They were not before. So why is this?
And we do more for the German minority
He's
than
addressing
everybody
it 5 years
else.
too late.
Oh.
Well, it's just crystally clear that Prussia just wants to attack Denmark, and I would just want to say that we are ready, but we are always ready to continue to find a peaceful solution. Our doors were always open to Prussia, even after they insulted us, our royal family and our culture several times.
Next
we don't
time
want
you
war, but we are ready.
Next time you want to take lands, just prepare better arguments.
The Principality of Luxembourg will use its veto power in the German Confederation against any Prussian proposal in the German Confederation, legitimizing its current.
What's
proposal.
Luxembourg? Sorry.
Yes, the Principality of Luxembourg. In the German
What's that?
Confederation.
Is it on a map somewhere? I don't have it on any of my maps. Sorry.
It is.
Acknowledge that.
Greetings, this is an ambassador from the Kingdom of Spain.
Yes, welcome, Ambassador. How can I help
We
you
call
today?
upon the Customs State to immediately stand down in their action on Madagascar, which is a claimed region by the Spanish Empire. You are in violation of European acknowledgement of claims and will be subject to hostile action if you pursue.
What are you doing, Abdel Rahman?
Oh, I was going out. Oh my god, I was trying to get Wales.
No, you get out of Madagascar.
All right,
not give
well,
my assent for this. I'm not
We
getting
will give
involved
you
in the
1
European...
week to withdraw your troops, at which time the
They
Spanish
shall do
Navy
so
will
they
formally
shall do
fire
so
upon
immediately.
your fleet.
I shall do so immediately.
Very well.
I'm like, the war's almost over.
Luxembourg, can we ask what's the proposal again to make sure we are all on the same page?
Okay, I believe I believe we have one issue.
Really using the proposal. It's more what.
One proposal from the North German Confederation is to demand that Denmark cede the territory of Schleswig to be an independent principality within the German Confederation. And I believe we have a counteroffer from France, which has not been articulated yet.
And we would like to put the Swedish motor in the table as well.
Well, the third proposition is that we all protect, except Prussia, obviously, Denmark, if they pass the citizenship law, a better one, to accept the Germans, as it is the best solution.
So there will be a time frame for Denmark to allow for to change its internal laws.
The
to
other issue
better
is here, though, is that
German citizens.
As long as they pass the law, because it will take time due to the nature of their internal politics, as long as they pass the law, we shall condemn any attempt from the Prussians to.
What manner of retribution will be given, though? I mean, it is not enough to simply do such a thing. Retribution needs to be given for their actions. For every bad deed, a good one must be given, for punishment is required. So what will happen to the Danish state for their actions, as they have clearly violated a group of people in the region?
What did they do?
As far as I'm aware, they have explicitly discriminated and lowered the standard of living of a subject group within their country. And that is cause for concern, especially since they are peoples of the Germanic, both Prussian and Austrian, a noble people who are deserving of proper care. What retribution will be given to Denmark for this?
As we say, they are addressing it right now.
Addressing is not retribution. Addressing is attempting to solve the grievance you have done.
They've already
we
released Holstein, though.
Yes,
that is indeed
Yes, and the situation is only worse in
but that has previously happened. The issue, though, is that this is continued. Again, this is a matter that in some ways does not concern us, but punishment and just doing of deed is always important. So if they've continued this past when they release Holstein, it is not enough for them to simply fix the problems they've continued to do. Retribution will be given, or should be given, for their actions.
But in principle of the Westphalian order, technically the Danish king is his own ruler in his own realm. So technically he doesn't have to own anything to the Germans. So he's doing this.
Of course he is, but he is also a good Christian, and he has the right to treat all Christians as equals, which he has not.
He is proposing a solution right now, again.
We are doing that.
And I'm glad to hear that, but Spain is a religious country, and it is not enough for this to be simply dealt with. If Christians have been harmed, there's a debt owed by the Danish, and however they see fit to pay it, regardless, it should be paid.
Well,
so what should the Danish kingdom give?
No such principle has existed thus far. All kings have been allowed
Ambassador,
to rule
I don't know who you
how
are.
they
You're
wish.
speaking to me as if common law is important and it defines our system. But we do not have to only rely on past documents. My issue here is that this is a continuation of the desecration of good Christians in Europe. And we are calling, explicitly, for some manner of recompense to be given. Perhaps the Danish king would see fit to give a sum to the affected citizens of his realm who are of Germanic descent in order to make up for his wrongdoing.
Yeah, we will further investigate the situation and we'll contact.
Investigation is a useless word. We're asking if you're willing to give recompense.
Let me speak, please. We'll let you speak. We'll let you speak as well. What I wanted to say is that we will investigate the situation to identify persons that got discriminated, and then we will pay them a sum.
This has been 5 years of this going on. This is not an acceptable concession, and the only thing that we find acceptable is the release of Schleswig.
The Ottoman Empire would like to propose that we just take this to a vote.
It has been quite some time. Yeah, it's been a long time.
For simplicity, two options will be given. The Prussian and the French proposals will begin with the Prussian one, i.e. The ceding of Holstein as an independent state.
Schleswig.
Will this also include the colonies, your diplomat?
What was it? No, this does not include the colonies. We are just asking, in this matter, we are just asking for the release of Schleswig.
In this, we'll begin the vote on the Prussian proposal. Begin with the French delegation. What is your vote?
No.
The Russian delegation?
Fiercely no.
Swedish? No, Sweden's not voting. You can. Okay, Sweden.
We abstain.
Oh.
United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So.
We back Prussia.
Prussia.
Aye. Yeah.
The Kingdom of Austria-Hungary.
Abstained.
The Ottoman Empire.
In favour of the Danish.
What?
So no
Is
for
that
this.
you-
Okay.
No, yes.
My foreign
and
policy is motivated entirely out of spite for the British, nothing else.
Out of
Why are you even here?
in terms of order, please when you are
Can someone
given two options,
can someone please
say
stifle the
deny.
ramblings of the heathen? His words are like toxic fumes.
and the delegation from the Kingdom of Spain.
Spain
what is your
abstains.
vote? Okay. And for the French delegation, for the French proposal, France. You vote in
Obviously,
favor.
yes.
Russia.
Abstain.
Sweden.
Abstain.
The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland.
Nope.
Prussia.
No. 9.
Austria.
9.
Ottoman Empire.
Abstain.
And Spain.
Abstain.
Oh. I believe both proposals have failed. No unified position has been reached.
At least we give it a try.
Gentlemen, I believe that this will conclude our meetings. No peaceful solution seems to have been found. Good day to you all.
Good day.
Goodbye, gentlemen. God save Denmark.
Farewell.
And God save Europe.
That's it.
All right, they're gonna go to war then. Which, as weird as it was going the whole time, the debate was fun, but it did go fucking long. Jesus Christ. Let's see if we can get a Holy Alliance meeting going. Where are... Greetings.
Hello. All right. Yeah, I have an issue to raise. I just need everyone here.
Oh shit, wrong.
Very
My bad.
quick. You want?
I'll jump out of there. That's a GC meeting. We will have to wait then, because one of the members of the Holy Alliance is currently dealing with GC stuff. All right, so that's really long. Generally speaking, it looks like Prussia and France are going to be going to war. We are well into our invasion of Madagascar. It's taking quite some time. We're really struggling here. Oh shit! Also, what's up? I didn't even see the raid. What's up, LMG? One moment, 1 second. I do apologize. 1 moment. Thank you for raid, LMG. We are playing Vicky 3 roleplay as Spain. It's going to be Diplo heavy, so I'm going to be really involved with things, but appreciate the raid, man. Good to see you. Hope all is well. Apologies about that. We were in the middle of our talks before that, that rather interesting affair.
Yes.
We left off, I believe, discussing, the future of colonial issues primarily. Yes.
In Africa, yes. So we've made our move to the Zulu land. So presently it's a puppet with a slavery banned. So our work in this region is done for now.
That's good to hear. Given I think we kind of see eye to eye then in Africa, after our puppeting of Madagascar, we are interested still in the Niger Delta region, but with Britain claiming it, that will get quite contentious. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I'm more primarily interested in Portugal's plans forward outside of Africa colonially, if you have any, that is.
Presently we don't. We had this setback with the Chinese. We had to return Macau with the pressure from the Chinese were being too much for us to deal with it. We didn't want to pressure our allies, both Austrians and the British. So, and actually out of RP, the treaty port is not really a treaty port for Portugal, since we are not a great power. In the future,
shit, yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't really work as a treaty port, so starting a fight over a thing that is not really a thing wouldn't make much sense. So in Asia, we lost Macau, so that would be our second region for us to expand. We have no friendship for the Dutch.
Nor do we.
Yes.
Well,
we
in
do
that
not.
case, is there any other regions? I have something I wish to bring up with you, but
Yeah.
were there any other regions?
No, presently no. We would not have the capacity to colonize further than the regions we are colonizing in Mozambique.
Very well. In
For
that case,
now.
I do want to bring up one nation who has gained the interest of myself and my government. Do you know anything of the shogunate, the Japanese shogunate?
Yes.
It's a...
We were expelled. We were expelled by the Japanese in the 16th century because we sent them missionaries, Catholic missionaries, to convert them to the true religion, and they were expelled. Some of them were even killed.
Yes.
And since then, we had no
Precisely.
relation with the country.
My interest in Japan has come to me not from myself, but a member of the Holy Church who approached me about Japan. I had been primarily interested in Roman history and European history as a younger boy, and I knew very little of Asia until recent times. Japan I had always seen as simply a backwater land of heathens. Asia is full of them, of course. But what was brought to my attention by the father who I take confession with is that not only were there Christians there who were trading, but that many in Japan were converted. He made it clear to me that many missionaries were sent there by the church, and that many of them were not only persecuted, but horribly executed. And many Japanese who saw the light of our religion converted and met a similar fate. It was a region I did not have much interest in, but this news is worrying, and it does make me have an interest in potentially seeing if Portugal has any interest in trying to reestablish our positions there. The island, from the maps I see, is far too big for direct control, of course, but forcefully regaining entry and forcefully ensuring the safety of Christians and Christian missionaries there is another matter entirely.
So would you be thinking about a treaty port, or?
I am, yes.
Yes, we would like that.
As well as forcing the government there to acknowledge the right of Japanese to worship the Lord, and allow potentially missionaries and Christian schools to be set up there.
Yes, you do know that we are Catholic. We are not.
We are well aware.
We are deeply Catholic in our country, though our government is not very much interested in spreading Christianity. But we do have a common ground because we, like any European country, we like money. So,
plainly put, I can respect that.
Yes. So we have, yes, the Japanese have a treaty port, a Portuguese treaty port in Japan, and a Spanish treaty port in Japan. That would be very much convenient. Since this will be a joint venture, the British will have no interference. What nations do you think we could be upsetting with this move?
My suggestion would be that I would be to bring up this proposal at the next Holy Alliance meeting and gain their support for this, and potentially proposition an idea whereby the other Holy Nations may have treaty ports, but we kind of keep it within that block of nations. I'm not sure how your relations are with countries such as Austria and Russia, but they're good friends of the crown. Well,
I'm an Habsburg myself, so we are allied to Austria, and we do have very friendly relations with the Russians, since we have a trade agreement with them. We don't have any formal relations with the Prussians, but we are just neutral. No, we don't have any kind of hostility towards them. So we would be very glad to share treaty ports or even regions if the Russians want the northern part of Japan. We are open for negotiations. We would prefer the southern island, since historically Kyushu, a treaty port in Kyushu would be good for us, but any other region in Japan would work.
Yes. I have looked over the records and maps of the country, and we'd be probably pursuing a more direct treaty port close to Kyoto itself to be able to ensure the government there is doing things that we can agree with.
Yes, just another idea. If the Holy Alliance, the treaty port would be great for us, and we would have access to silk again, since we lost silk in Macau. if the Holy Alliance would like to partition Japan, that would also be something that we would go in. Like the Holy Alliance is particularly good partitioning countries. That happened with Poland. If they are willing to do it, we would also be in favor of this move.
I'm not opposed to the concept, but again, from the maps I have seen, the size of Japan, they're a very fierce culture. For me, my primary intent here, besides, of course, the trade value, is the Christian one. And in discussions with representatives of the church, we do feel that by at least in the beginning going in a more light fashion with treaty ports would allow us to facilitate better relations towards the Christian church and Christianity, whereas direct rule might cause some pushback that could cause many of them to not see our holy religion for what it is, as a redeeming force.
Yes, we do completely
sorry to interrupt, but the Japan player is not in the game right now. He's on the rehost.
That's fine. I was not planning on rushing this, so.
Okay. Also, when you have some time, come to Naples, please.
Yes. But anyway,
yes,
we're glad you understand.
We are much in favor of treaty ports. In the case there is a player doesn't apply what I was saying, I would suggest that we would conquer and then release the nations that we can release, like protectorates or puppets or whatever.
Yes.
But yes, we are very much in favor of a treaty port in Japan.
That's good to hear. I'm glad we see eye to eye on it. That was the primary proposal I wish to bring up this meeting with you, as again, we do view you as a very close colonial partner, and we thought that this is something that you might have interest in.
Yes, at the beginning, for the past years, we were seeing Spain as a possible enemy when we lost the civil war, but we are very glad with our relationship until now. To be frank with you, you are the non-official ally that has brought us new territories to our empire, unlike our traditional allies, and that is something that we cherish.
And we agree with you as well. Our colonial ventures will be fruitful, I'm sure, in the future, as they have already been. So, is there anything else you'd like to discuss with my government at this conference? I do want to open that up. Any matters at all, frankly.
No, sir. The only proposal that I have when the joint venture in Japan comes to a success, because it will, perhaps we could think about a trade agreement in the near future if you think that would be something profitable for both our countries.
We have no issue with it. I had planned to wait in order to facilitate more domestic goods to stop, obviously, cheap products flowing in to allow domestic industries to flourish. But since the economy is bouncing back quite well, I have no issue of discussing such a thing right now.
Yes. Right now, we don't have the diplomacy to have a trade agreement with any other nation, but that will change in the future.
Of course. Very well. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I will let you know what the Holy Alliance does think.
Yes. Let me know for me to activate our interest in the region.
Of course. Farewell.
Thank you very much. Farewell.
Right back. I gotta go to the bathroom. What's up, Bambi? Okay, we actually have a minute here. I think. For now. Let's see where we're at. Resource boom. Raw good industries in Aragon are reporting a small spike in good production of our logging camps, which has led to an extra stockpile being available. Nice. More throughput. I did a bunch of decrees too, so our good outputs are really high. They should be. We are done with our bureaucratic deficit. We have built up a healthy amount here. We're going to be increasing our centralization of our government, and we're going to be putting in place more law enforcement, as we do have a lot of liberal radicals who are causing problems in our cities. Which is, I think, the governmental plan for the moment. We have lost a lot of support. The industrialists especially have grown a lot in power recently, so that is proving to be a little bit difficult for us. Did they actually not fight a war? It looks like they're not going to. God damn. Alright, we'll try and do the Holy Alliance meeting in a minute, but I do want to take a second to actually focus on things. Governmentally, we are running pretty good balance. Our investment pool is absolutely fucking massive, which is nice. The AI chooses very poor things, but it is working. They're rivaled with East India, the British, and Prussia. Tool workshops, steel mills so we can switch tool production to steel, food industries to increase quality of life, coal mines to have domestic access to coal, and then we're going to start to build our textile mill super areas. Did the Venezuela player actually show up today? He did. Hello there, this is an Imperial Ambassador from the Crown of Spain.
Hello, Ambassador. Welcome to Caracas.
I have traveled here to speak with an old friend of General Rodil's.
Yes, we were expecting you. Please, follow me to the office of Juan de Olmedo.
Of course, thank you. Thank you. Please lead the way.
General Rodil, it's me, Juan de Olmedo. Long time no see, friend.
I do apologize. The general cannot make it quite yet. He did, as I'm sure see in the correspondence, he does plan to go to Brazil in secret if things move ahead. I am a friend of both his and the king's. I speak with the general on many occasions. He is a good man, an old friend of yours, I know.
Yes, yes. It's been
2 decades, I think. 3? No, it'd be 3, I think. No, 2 or 3, something like that. Regardless, I have sit here by both the king and the general on both their account. Of course, General Rodil is the first marshal of the Spanish Empire and has broad authorities and power in government, but the king's will is supreme. I'm here to, I suppose, primarily determine what it is that you and your faction are seeking from us.
Yes, well, to put it quite simply, sir, the situation is dire here in Venezuela. We just received word post the South American Congress that the current dictator, President Vargas, has reached an agreement with the rest of the South American countries to propose a defense agreement amongst the Grand Colombian countries and to work unilaterally to how should I say this, to reject any European affairs in South America. Here, our faction, we represent the ideas of traditionalism, conservatives, and we yearn for the period where Spain ruled these lands. However, we were seeking any form of intervention to help us in what we assumed was a threat to our sovereignty, and that was the territorial lands of Zulia in the event that New Granada was seeking on a warpath to unite Zulia into forming Gran Colombia. From what we were told in the Congress, this was not their intent.
I see. Well, that is good to hear. We are, as I'm sure you're aware, the king is good friends with Emperor Pedro, and by extension, I know the Brazilians are friends with New Granada, so that is good to hear. The question then is whether you do wish to continue on the path that you had proposed to us. Spain is very interested in, I will be honest and frank with you, a deal has been potentially worked out with the Brazilian government to facilitate this, but we also do not want to step on toes in South America. So this needs to be a thing that we want to also gauge how large your faction is and how much support they have.
Yes, well, as you can see, we are currently building new armies within Venezuela. This notion of a threat of our sovereignty has caused quite a stir in our republic, and we are currently working to increase our capability to defend ourselves. We understand that the American territories, the American countries, would not take kindly to Spanish intervention in Venezuela. We were hoping, as the other faction, we were hoping for a protectorship of sorts, not a colony, but to join our markets and to aid Spain and, by extent, King Carlos in his goal of creating a Catholic, God-fearing empire.
You desire to support the old systems and a Christian values in your country is, it speaks widely to your character and to the Spanish will still seen in Venezuela. It's why we are most interested too. My king, he seeks a colonial empire, of course, but he is a man of God first and foremost. We are open to what you're asking, and we'd have no issue with it. But I will ask again, how large of a support group do you currently have in Venezuela? If this is simply several individuals plotting a plot in back rooms with no wider support, Spain may have to consider whether this is worth the risk.
As I mentioned in my letter to General Rodil, I currently represent the factions of the rural folk, the Catholic Church, and the armed forces. It is just President Vargas representing the intelligentsia party within our country that threatens the old ways. We are ready to raise up arms in defense of the old ways, in traditionalism.
That's good to hear. We just wanted confirmation. In that case, I do have the full support of my king to make you aware of how intervention would be given. As currently the Americas is under the Monroe Doctrine, we do not wish to start a conflict with the United States, which could put our colony in Cuba in jeopardy. We have orchestrated a deal with the Brazilian government by which we will fund arms, ammunition, and any other materials needed to your party if it comes to outright conflict. We also plan to allow, we've already begun sending them, I believe several hundred are already in Brazil, several thousand soldiers as per the letter that would fight under no banner of Spain, but would give support to your government in either a coup or a civil war. And as such, we do stand ready to provide these as soon as you would like.
The news that you bring, sir, brings joy to my heart. We are ready to stand fast in defense of traditionalism and conservative values. We are ready to move against President Vargas in this coup, and we will start making the political arrangements as necessary.
Very well. Anything that you need, I will put the you into contact with our leaders in Brazil. General Rodil is planning to come over as soon as news arrives, so you will be able to meet up with him very soon. We will put both him and the soldiers who are arriving in Brazil, again under no banner, and they will not acknowledge that they are of Spanish origin, I mean, at least legally. they will be under the control of your new temporary government, and you will do with them as you wish. So please give your regards to Radil when he arrives, and he is under your command and your government's command until he returns home. Is this acceptable?
It is more than acceptable. Thank you, esteemed delegate from Spain.
Very well. I'm glad to meet with you, and I hope next time I arrive, and my king perhaps has spoken, he might wish to take a trip once your government in Caracas is under the control of the true leaders of Venezuela, that we can speak as to a bold future together. Spain is rebuilding their economy, and we will have funds soon available by which to potentially help Venezuela prosper. So thank you for your meeting, and thank you for placing trust in Spain to help you walk into a better future.
Yes, thank you. I hope this is the start of an enduring friendship with the Spanish crown.
We hope so as well. Farewell, my friend.
Farewell.
All right, so for background, a couple letters I had exchanged with a player who's on Venezuela. There's a large faction that wants to not go back into the colonial empire, but they do want to join the market with us, and they do want heavy Spanish influence. They're made up of like a lot of the old school loyalists and stuff. The dictator's done a bad job, their economy has been dead, the quality of life is low, so they're looking to go back within the Spanish sphere. Again, they're not going to be a puppet, they will just be in our markets, is how this will go. And we're going to be sending our field marshal and a bunch of soldiers through Brazil with no banners, similar to how the British did against us back in the day. So in the Spanish Wars of Independence, the British sent thousands of volunteers to fight against Spain, but they didn't wear the British colors, they didn't have formal support from the government. We're doing the same thing, but to reclaim territories, I suppose. War in Europe. War in Europe. Perhaps? Doesn't look like it. Huh. Are you sure? I don't see anything about it. And we will pursue treaties and conversion in Japan too. So those are all the big things. At this point, we're going to start working on more just soft diplomacy and economics. So the talking may be done for a while, but we have one more meeting. If I can find him. Gotta love the hours straight of diplomacy. It is a lot of fun. Hail, I am a ambassador of the Crown of Spain and King Carlos.
Greetings, Ambassador. This is the Sicilian Foreign Office. We saw that you opened up diplomatic talks with us to improve relations between our two kingdoms.
We did. I will make it very clear it is primarily an economic interest rather than a political one, just to clarify.
I see.
The economy of Two Sicilies is home to many goods that Spain is in need of, and we wish to pursue the possibility of that. And I would hope that your government is open to such a thing.
We are. Were there any particular goods that you had in mind?
The sulfur mines of Sicily were a particular interest. We also know that you are beginning to produce a fair amount of steel, although Spain does plan to, of course, make her own steel mills. We are interested in compensating so we can focus on other things. So those two were of great interest to us.
Yes, we did see that you opened up your first paper mills in Spain not too long ago.
We did.
And we did begin token exports of sulfur to those previously mentioned. We do have plans to expand the steel industry. However, first we are currently expanding our military after the threatening statement of the Sardinia Piedmontese.
The Foreign Affairs Office of Spain, as well as the Spanish government, is aware of that conflict. I will make one thing very clear from the Spanish government, that is, the Papal States is fully under the protection of Spain, and any attempt to march troops through the Holy See or through Rome would be considered an act which we could not tolerate. Outside of that, we have no, obviously, stake in things.
Of course. But yes, we will expand our steel industry as well as our sulfur mines. Due to the infrastructure of the island of Sicily, it's difficult for us to hold the coal up So we are currently using traditional mining techniques.
We have similar logistical issues in our own northern regions. Mountains are quite hard to traverse. You know, the British, they have those trains. We've been, well, I shouldn't speak too much of this. We've been trying to back engineer them for several years now, and we're not making a lot of progress, but we'll get there at some point.
Yes, we made our own prototypes in our capital. However, they are quite difficult to set up in the mountains.
They are indeed. Trying to build rail lines along such rough terrain is quite difficult, and I know there's been a little less enthusiasm after a boiler explosion while attempting to build a locomotive. We've only really been able to look at them from afar in Britain and France, so it's
they are glorious, aren't they? Not?
They are beautiful machines. I had a chance to see some myself, and my God, the things that the Lord gifts us with, they are truly a marvel, but quite dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Absolutely.
But yes, that was what we wished to speak about.
Good.
Is there a possibility for a future trade agreement, or even one right now?
We are open to one at present time. I did come here with the king's desire to sign one, if that is acceptable.
Very well. We shall create the document now.
It is good to hear. In that case, is there anything else that you would wish for me to convey to the king before I take my leave?
No, not in particular.
Very well. It's been a pleasure, Ambassador, and I will speak again. Alright. The last of the things I wanted to do. Did we integrate and transfer the states? Yes, I need to do that with you as well. I wanted to wait a bit, though. Actually, I don't know if that's the right person, but the Philippines, I do need to transfer states. Right to market. And then transfer states. And then we also do need to talk to him, actually. Forgot he was here today. Hello there.
Oh, greetings.
It's been quite some time. I am an ambassador from King Carlos.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
I said I'm an ambassador from King Carlos. It's been quite some time.
Yeah, well, it has been true. Welcome to Manila, Ambassador.
Thank you. I am sure you are well aware of the letter that King Carlos wrote to your nation.
Yeah, I am.
I am here. Obviously, we've begun the transferring process of the regions conquered in the wars there to your government. But I am here primarily also to determine the exact nature of the legal treaty that was negotiated with Brunei. Obviously, the losing of that region to the Dutch was disastrous. And as far as we were informed by their government, it was due to a lack of correspondence. We did make clear to you that we intended to pursue that end. Was it the case that you did not contact Brunei? We want to ensure that we are correct, as the dictator does appear like he may be a man easily ready to lie.
We reserved action until we got permission from the king, dear ambassador. And since it took some time to send the message to the king, we didn't want to overstep our boundaries by establishing contact with the dictator.
I see. That is quite unfortunate. Regardless, Brunei is lost for now. I didn't want to make very clear to you several things moving forward. First of all, is that Spain will not... We have no desire to permanently give up that region. And although right now we are not strong enough to ever contend it, in the future it is the plans of the Spanish government to see those lands brought back under the control of Spain. And if we were to do so and fight a war with the Dutch, rest assured, the other islands in the eastern region of the Dutch East Indies would be going to the Spanish Philippines. We do want to make that abundantly clear to you.
Yeah, I understand.
I am also here, at the bequest of the king, to speak with your government about expansion in the region. Obviously, Asia is the only region that we have room to expand in at present time. and we are quite interested in the other eastern islands. There are many out there in Archipelago. The British have claimed some of them. We have words that the Americans obviously have taken Hawaii, the lion's share of them. But there's now rumor that even the Prussians and others are seeking some of these islands. The guano in particular is of particular interest to Spain, as its use for fertilizers would be incredibly useful. I'm not sure if you use such practices here in the Philippines.
Well, for now, we are unaware of such. Those such concepts are foreign to us for now.
It's to put it simply, it's bird shit. There's a lot of islands that have a lot of bird shit on them, and as strange as it is to say, it makes for good fertilizer. It's a very large industry in Europe, and a very profitable one too, in fact.
Interesting. I thought Europe would have found a way to proceed with such ambitions in a more civilized way instead of scooping up
well, the technicalities of fertilizer is unfortunately not going to ever be a very clean one, as far as at least I'm aware. So it does require such more human things, I suppose. But the point I'm coming to is that we are interested in pursuing some more of these islands in the Pacific that have access to guano, as well as potentially strategic value in the future. Now, Spain, of course, could go in directly and do this themselves, but you are obviously given arms and provisions. Your military, your colonial military here, does have the proper things needed to pursue this. Obviously, the one thing you do lack is a navy, which is why we wish to speak to you, Governor Stewart, about the possibility of you developing a small but acceptable navy and pursuing some of these islands for the crown. Under your own administration, of course.
I see. You are aware that such an undertaking requires quite a lot of resources that the Philippines do not have.
You would have the money. We can provide that to you, and the resources you will find will quickly be appearing in the Spanish market, as our economy is beginning to grow rather quick after a very stagnant period here.
I hope the Spanish ships will stand the test of time.
As do we. Is this something that your government would be willing to do?
We are willing to follow the will of the crown.
That's good to hear. Out of RP, I have not gotten central banking yet, so if you want a deficit spend, I'll just forgive your debt if you want to build a navy.
I see.
Is that acceptable?
Yeah. How fast do you want me to build a navy?
Not super fast, but I would optimally like you to build at least a little bit in today's session. I'm thinking like at the end of today or the start of next session, you potentially start to go after some of those islands. Is that a reasonable time frame?
Yeah. I'll begin like very soon. Just have to establish a bit more economy things, then I'll focus on the navy completely.
That's good to hear. Send an itemized list of costs to the Spanish Foreign Office, and we will see proper recompense given to your government to develop the navy, as well as any other military costs you might occur in this conflict.
That's good to hear. The Philippines are more than happy to help the Spanish crown in its expansion and rightful claim on the world stage.
That's good to hear. Now, on to the final matter that we have, which is that, is there anything we can do for your government at this time?
Since you have so established your plans in Asia, we are more than willing to go through with them. We just hope that in due time, Philippines will be allowed to pursue a bit more of a liberal economic matters such as rapid industrialization, but that is in due time.
One day we will allow for it, but it is the opinion of our government that until such time as Spain is able to have the lion's share of these industries, we will pursue our current status, though there is talks to allow, obviously, the beginnings of industrialization in the Philippines in some areas.
I see. Until then, we will focus on building the agrarian economy and focus on constructing a navy in Manila.
Very well. Anything else, Ambassador? I apologize, President Stewart.
So far, nothing special in these parts of the world. I've seen your government successfully campaign in Morocco and in Madagascar. So I would just like to say, Ambassador, that here in person, I can congratulate you on such effective campaigns on your government.
I thank you, I will remind you as a fellow Christian and a member of the Spanish Empire, you do not need to thank the crown, nor me. It is you who also will profit off of these affairs, both spiritually and financially.
That is good to hear, Ambassador. It was nice talking to you once
You
again.
as well, and I will convey your thanks to the king. Farewell, President Stewart.
Farewell. Farewell.
Did Cuba show up today? Probably go talk to him too. No, you don't. Okay, cool. India, what happened? Oh, fuck. Jesus, what is going on in India? Oh, it's the Civil War. They had to even
Good afternoon, delegate from Spain. This is the delegate from Venezuela, Minister of Trade. Just wondering if you have a moment.
I do, of course. What can I do for you?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. One of my compatriots in the rural folk, General Olmedo, told me to speak with you, and I wanted to clarify a couple of things. First, he told me of an interest in the empire, the Spanish empires, to increase their influence in Venezuela. As a Minister of Trade, I was hoping you might declare a interest in the Venezuela region, so we may begin opening lines of trade. In particular, we may export coffee and tobacco into the Spanish Empire, and in return, we may import small arms and artillery.
We will go ahead and move our interest away from another region, and it will be there, I'd say, within several weeks.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Well, while I do have you here, on the matter of trade, it is the intent of my government to pursue rapid industrialization and the exporting of textiles and good items of good quality clothing, both of the high and low sort, as well as a pursuance of vast glass exports. So in the future, if Venezuela requires either, we would hope that you would look first to Spain.
Of course, we will look to Spain as a preferred trading partner with those particular items. We wanted to clarify that the small arms will be used, so to speak, in a possible uprising against intelligentsia and the landowners. As soon as we finish bolstering our rural folk and they have enough clout, we will turn our government into a more agrarian focus. We anticipate we might have a revolt in that regard, and in that way we may petition the crown for intervention.
I see. Very well. I will remind you, though, that we are happy to intervene, but it will be done for Brazil. Out of RP, Brazil himself will get in the war, and he'll send troops, which in RP would basically be like Spanish soldiers without a banner. So that's what we talked about, if you're cool with that.
No, yeah, that sounds perfect. I just I'm trying to I don't want to like join the market, like Spanish market, until I can like RP it, like rural folk, get agrarianism, and like that's their
No need at all to rush it, like at all. I mean, take your time with things. Do your RP, man. There's no worries.
I don't think this is gonna be rushed. It's like zero clout for the rural folk right now. So.
Oh yeah, it'll be pretty rough. You could ask for a save edit to spark like a civil war if you'd like. The GCs would do that for you, but if you want to wait longer, that's fine too.
Yeah, I tried putting them in government, and I couldn't even pass. I couldn't even select agrarianism since it's like a beyond illegitimate government. So I just gotta wait.
When a faction wins the civil war, they have total power in government, so they'd be able to pass any laws you pretty much want. So you know, I don't know. Have you played a lot of Victoria 3?
Yeah, I played a lot of single player. But I haven't played at all with this mod, so.
But yeah, sounds good. As I said, no rush at all. We're happy to could trade with Venezuela extensively. And any other goods that you may need from us, send an ambassador, and we could discuss the possibility of Spain providing them to you.
Awesome, that sounds great. Ambassador, thank you for your consideration for the people of Venezuela. And as soon as the interest arrives at our Venezuelan Office of Trade, we will immediately start exporting our agricultural crops.
That sounds perfect. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and safe travels home to Caracas.
Thank you. Long live King Carlos.
Do you have any nations to suggest to play for this MP? Moose, is there's a Gadjar player. I was gonna suggest them, but they're being played. In terms of who doesn't have, I don't think Central America have a player. That'd be a fun one. Actually, I don't think there's a Belgium. That's a huge one, man. No, there's a Belgium. What am I talking about? It's Kiki Dodo. Central America, maybe? Yeah, Central America's open. That'd be a fun one. I think it's open. Unless he just is going to rejoin in the rehost. That'd be cool. Morocco and Madagascar are open if you want to play, I mean, I do plan to industrialize them, so that's an option. There will be most likely, but not certainly, a Kingdom of Jerusalem made in Central Asia, so that's an option too. Horror might be fun. I don't think there's a player on there. No, there's not. You could play Ethiopia. That'd be fun. No, there is. Never mind. Yeah, it's a big game, man. There's actually not a lot really available. Japan is coming back, I know. Is there a Korea? I know we had one in the signups. There's no Korea. That'd be a really... I'd recommend Korea, man. Yeah, Korea would be my recommendation. You can do a lot with them. They're really fun. Super interesting in this time period, too. No shortage of stuff you can do RP-wise. And Brock's on Ching, so you'll have a good fucking time. Yeah, Kingdom of Jerusalem. Yeah. We'll see. That depends on how the Holy Alliance meeting goes. Alright. We are just waiting to really start to grow quicker here. Steel has been dealt with. Food industries for quality of life. Coal for the domestic supply. Textiles, glass, and paper. When we're done with that, we can start to really focus in on some heavy export stuff. Construction good costs. Iron primarily is the cost. Do we have it as overly expensive at the moment? Yeah, we do. That's part of our issue. We'll import Prussian and Belgian iron then. Luxury clothes obsession. We really need railroads. How long until we get them? Another 28 months. We also really need to build up some more universities. We only have a couple, I think. Never mind. We have no universities. Jesus Christ. Alright, well, we're going to build them up in Catalonia then. I'll build 5. I didn't realize we had no universities. I was like, why is our tech going so slow? No fucking universities. Universities don't matter as much in the mod that we've made. We have debuffed them compared to vanilla, but they're still really impactful, so that explains a lot. Alright, well, very good terms with the Brazilians. Very good terms with Venezuela. We'll improve relations with New Granada. With Peru. We'll improve relations... Is there anyone else we really need to? Oh, the church, of course. Well, we'll do it there. We are still getting a little bit more infamy reduction in, and we do have a bit of infamy left, so we'll keep that. I think it's because of the Civil War or something. They really butchered Spain. I like that they made a Civil War with the VFM mod, but they really butchered Spain's starting situation, so that's pretty bad not having any fucking universities, not gonna lie. But oh well. We're kind of in a lull here. I'm just trying to figure out what to do. I'm so used to just constantly having 50 things at once, which will happen again very soon, but... Got our institutions. We can do some law changes, maybe. Not really. I would really like to go up to another level of law enforcement. But we need another governmental building, and I do not want to prioritize that at the moment. I bet paper's fucking us too. Now that I think about it. Oh, Jesus. Okay, that's where all our fucking costs are coming from. We need paper more than anything else, actually, is what we need. We are in a deficit of... We could get 2 paper mills and we'll be fine. We're building 1 in Valencia. We'll build 1 more in Valencia. Oops, Alt. Let's get those mixed up. Paper mills. After this food industry is done. And then, if we need the sulfur, we can import that much easier. That will really cut down our budget costs, because we have so much governmental bureaucracy, and we're just getting killed on it. How much of the construction good cost is that, actually? Or, yeah, that's bad. Oh, we're still fucking traditionalists, too. I am going to start empowering the industrialists. I would really like to get them into our government. The landowners and them don't get along very well is the issue. Yeah. I think we got the rehost too. Yes, it's 4 o'clock. We are going to do the rehost. So you think what's going on in Europe? Let me look at the picture. What is going on in Europe? Danish burn German embassy to the ground? Oh boy. That's spicy. Are people usually good about RPing, or do they try and rush / multi/total separation? It occasionally happens, but we've got like a very large staff team that monitors this. Like, games are always checked after every game, right, by staff. So it's always very closely monitored. It happens. They usually just get a warning, and if they continue to do it, they will get banned from the game. So it doesn't happen that much due to that, because people, you know, they just know that they'll get banned from the game if they do it. So, like, it used to happen a lot, but we've got a really large group of players now who play in this game who do a good job of it, and everyone's really hostile to people who do that kind of behavior. So it's nice. Kind of got into a period where it doesn't happen too much. There's little things now and then, but outright metagaming, I haven't seen, for a while. There's some questionable stuff for sure, but for the rest of the game, I want us to try and get the Holy Alliance meeting, but I want to wait until the situation dies down with Denmark. I'm hoping that they get through this today. If not, well, I'll probably have to do it at the end with just the Austrians and the Russians. We have the colonial regions I really wanted. We got it quicker than I expected. We have Morocco, we have Madagascar. We're going to get the Philippines to work on getting the rest of the islands. By the way, the thing I was talking about was a real thing. I believe one of our modders is actually even on planning to add it into the mod. We're planning to add a trade good for guano, which again is bird shit. I'm not kidding, it's a real thing. Historically, especially in the Victorian period, it was a massive industry because, yeah, bird shit is a really good thing for fertilizer. It's really useful, it's very valuable. So islands were claimed and taken very often in the Victorian period, purely for that reason. Strategic interest is of course nice, but it was very valuable, so that's why we're going to get him to pursue that. That's about it. I'm going to get us to relax and focus on our economy for the rest of today's session, I'd say, and maybe the beginning of next session, until really we're waiting on if we're going to do the Holy War. That's the big one at this point, so we actually need to slow down for a minute. We also need to get central banking. I want to be able to actually still subsidize our puppets. Strange events so far. How's that? I will say though, the last game we had, we did have that issue though with multiculturalism rushing. At the end of things, there were a couple people who rushed it. One person did RP, but he still rushed it, so that really fucked up the game last time. So that was the last, I think, time we really had issues with that. We in the mod debuffed multiculturalism pretty badly. It's a lot less good than it used to be. It's still good, but it's not as crazy. Especially, and then the migration changes in 1.2. And we're also much more keen about watching that. So you actually have to do a lot of good RP if you want to start accepting all the people in your country. Because, I mean, you could really argue that a lot of countries barely do that in the modern world, with some exceptions. So, why do I go Morocco? Sure, fine by me. Just a heads up, you're the Spanish governor who's attempting to bring order and convert heathens and build religious schools, and it's very brutal. I'm planning an RP post for it, so at least that's who's in charge on Spain's end. You can do what you want with it, but that's a heads up. Starting one wildlife and multiculturalism, yeah. Like mechanically, it's way too easy to get. It really is. Like, I really like Vicky 3. I like the law system. I like the law save added, but it needs balance. And I remember when I first started playing it on like release day, and I saw like how easy multiculturalism to get, and it was like, what the fuck? I don't know. Mexico's crazy. They're very strong. They were the ones I actually wanted to play in this game. I originally wanted to play Mexico, but I did a YouTube poll, and the Ottomans won, but then I didn't get the Ottomans. They were my #1 pick. That went to Moscow, and then Spain was my #2 because it did second best in the poll. I will be honest, I'm happy I got Spain because it is a fuckload of fun to play. I was kind of worried it wouldn't be too fun, but it has been great. Role-playing religious zealots trying to, you know, spread the word of Christ is always fun. It'll be even more fun in another 50 years when half of Europe is really liberal and we're not. So that'll be fun too. I'm looking forward to that. Devs really wanted you to be a beacon of liberties in the mid 1800s. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know, man. I guess it's bad publicity to like represent time periods like this well, especially when you get into the nitty-gritty of politics, which they did, and I respect that, but yeah, you can't half-ass that shit. And then everyone held hands and made friends. No, that's not what this time period is. This is a horrible time period. Like, fuck. It really is. You're not planning on being too liberal either? No. If we get a reform movement and a revolt, they win, I'll fully go it. If events go that way, I'll go it. But I do plan to try and maintain staunch, hardcore conservative Christian Spain as long as possible. And I think there's a good chance either other liberal powers will intervene and take that away from us, or we'll get a revolt at some point, which is fine, but my goal is to play out as much of that as I can until I can't. So. I'm really hungry. I just realized I haven't eaten all day again. Fuck. It's fine. It's fine. So I just realized I haven't been writing in diplomatic place. That's my bad. Someone has to be the bad guy after all. I've been waiting for that. I've been waiting for on the YouTube videos for someone to comment like about that. If it's not obvious, we're not the good guys here. I think everyone watching has probably figured that out by now. We're not the biggest bad guy in the world right now, but we're not far. We're not good. If you haven't noticed, we allow slavery in our colonies. When I say that we're going into a country to convert them, I'm not talking about passing out pamphlets at fucking street corners. It's not what I'm talking about. We're not good. We're horrible. But it's interesting. Because I don't know, I have no issue playing bad stuff in roleplay because, like, at least I think of it that I understand these topics well enough and I disagree with what this really is in my own principles, right? but this is a real thing that was a thing historically. And it's fun to play out those scenarios. I mean, I take no joy in doing horrible things in these games, you know, I don't. I know there's some, especially Hoi players, who do that, but to me, it's just an interesting way to kind of perceive history. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. And to put yourself into the mind of oftentimes really horrible governments and leaders. And it's easy to slip into that mindset. I mean, nationalism and, you know, conservatism and things like that it is easy to get into. It's like, just slip into it. It looks like we lost the host. That sucks. But I'm confident enough in my own beliefs to not feel any, I suppose, major concern. Because, I don't know. I know I very much, in real life, disagree with them. I have this amazing steak right now. Fuck you too, Moose. That's what I'll say to that. I wish there were more benefit to things like the theocrats and landowners. So, Lord, that's one of the big things we're planning for the next update for this mod. The next update will be a rework of authority and authoritarian governments. It's in its really early stages. It'll take us a while to get us out, probably in summer sometime. But our goal of it is to basically make authoritarian governments and authoritarian rule to be more beneficial. Because it was horrible. It was extractive, it was exploitative, and it was, you know, disgusting, but it was incredibly advantageous to groups like you mentioned. So we are working on that. Got burritos. Fuck you too, Schlob. God damn it. I refuse to eat and be a fucking, you know, goddamn barbarian like Tommy K. So I don't eat on stream. I'll wait until after. There were no good guys in the Victorian period. No, there really weren't. There were less worse ones, certainly, but there were no good guys. Can you convert nations in the mod? No, that's another feature that I want to add that I've just begun to look into, actually. You have to directly control to convert right now, which really sucks. So, yeah. People were cunts back then. They were horrible. They were bad to the bone. Guitar riff. Oh, I'm out of water. I think there's a lot of evil people now. Oh, fuck yeah, there are. It's just there's a lot less. I mean, governments in the modern world are way more moral. There's no way you can argue otherwise. They're just way more moral. For many reasons. Not in every part of the world, but for the most part. Especially in the West. Not universally. There's still many issues, but... I mean, like, there definitely has... morality, I suppose, is always in some ways subjective, right? But, I don't know. I think generally defining it as being willing to build, I guess, than destroy. We're way better than we used to. But that's not like we're fucking amazing. My God. Whew. Why do y'all do rehosts? It's for stability of the game and to allow people to rejoin who have exited out. So there are issues in Paradox games, especially with a game of this size. It's 50 fucking people. It's big. Where people will just get like desynced and they'll exit out of the game because they have to, or they'll crash. And we do a rehost at the halfway point, so we get those people back in. Because otherwise they miss the whole game and that's not really fun. It also does tend to make the game more stable. So, both those. Leftover hot dogs. And fuck you too. God damn it. Now I'm really hungry. I thought hot dogs were grilled dogs until you were 12. It's in a name. I get that. My worst thing like that is I used to unironically think Egyptians walked like hieroglyphs. You know how you see hieroglyphs and like the Egyptians are walking like that, you know, like doing the thing? Until an embarrassingly old age, I thought that it was a cultural thing and that if I went to Egypt, everyone would be walking around like that. I'm not kidding. So, you know, you gotta love those opinions you get as a kid due to things like that. Though I never did think hot dogs were dogs. Tell me to fix DA's mistakes and hope for the best. Who are you? Storm, you were playing Japan, right? Yeah, you were playing Japan. Used to think your brother was born during the Civil War. Fuck. And then you got addicted to Paradox games, and now you know history too well. Rough. Both are rough. Both are extremely rough. Yeah, being a kid's fun. Nothing makes sense, and you just, like, bullshit until you're old enough to realize you're dumb. It's great. It was nice. Youth is nice. Being able to, I don't know, see the world and not what it is. Western influence made them stop doing it in the 90s. That makes sense. I mean, they had style, and as always, the West takes it away from them. You know, that makes sense. I guess 1985 Cairo was an interesting place to be. You can think of the most dumbest things about people being too confused. True. Dude, the things I told my parents with a straight face and full belief when I was a kid, like, goddamn, kids are fucking annoying. Like, as someone who is older now, I'm not an old man yet, but I'm getting there. Kids are fucking annoying. I will say they're fucking annoying, but they're also fucking hilarious. Like, kids will say the wildest shit, and it's just like, oh, fuck. Fucking ridiculous. I used to take care of my younger siblings, not for a while, but for a little period, and dude, the shit that they would say, like, fuck, man. Funniest shit ever. Ridiculous. Power cut, nice. For the 90s, the Egyptians just walked in hieroglyphics. Yes, good. Good. I thank you for the clarification. I'm going to do no research and believe that's true just because I want to. My left big toe is trying to kill the rest of my body. Did you get an infection? You got an infection. That's what you got. You're welcome. I appreciate that. Validating my subjective beliefs. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Have you considered becoming a teacher? I have to say, I think, like, you may have been born for that profession. Ah, Rios. So long. I bitch about them and then, like, you know, I'll actually, like, crash it or desync and then, like, I fucking love rehosts, so it's the pain of it. See if I missed any important RP too. I tend not to check it because I never write any during games. I just don't have time. I always do it in the week. The Swiss integrated trade unionists. Fucking disgusting. Danish burned. They burned the German flag while leaving Prussia. The king of the Netherlands died. We won't be sending our condolences. Faldor with some mega posts as usual. Why the fuck are you putting election maps in fucking 1848? Jesus Christ, Falnor. I'm gonna link this because he always does ridiculous RP, like the good kind. Fucking Falnor. You want to see an election map in the United States in this timeline between Calhoun and Holden, which he made himself because he's a fucking G. Check out that post. Oh, the Dutch are attempting to go into Japan. Of course they fucking are. Everywhere we're planning to go into the Dutch too. But to be fair, I get it. We're both powers that are like just trying to grab anything that's left of the world colonially. So we're bound to butt heads. We could have worked with them, but yeah, I don't know. We are historical enemies for obvious reasons, and they were very aggressive in talks. So. And they're fucking liberals, basically. He's got like a whole liberal movement growing in this country, and we can't respect that at all. I'm gonna follow Epics. Epic ZL2. Got a radio station. I teach the world about things the liberal media doesn't want you to know, like Egyptian walking methods, fishing, percolators, and alien invasion over the Antarctic. You're doing the Lord's work, my friends. You really are. Absolutely. When are we gonna do the Afghanistan drug empire? Dude, I already did that as the Gadjars. What do you mean? Did you ever watch any of the Gadjar videos or the streams that I did that? We were just literally a drug fucking kingpin empire. That's all we did on Gadjar, Iran. The Dutch are propping up your economy? Oh, I know. One of the many reasons that I'm pushing ahead with the partition of the Ottomans so early. We can't have those pesky orange fucks getting any advantages. You know, I hear that they eat people in the Netherlands. I heard they eat their own leaders there. Probably babies too, really. I'm sure there's data to support that, but I'm just gonna throw that out there. It's uncivilized. That's what it is. I mean, the Protestants. They're Protestants. Yeah. Misguided is the word I'd use. Heretical, maybe. Easily burnable would be a good description too. But, well, the heathens are more important. I watched the Gadjars, and that was some minor drug lord shit. I'm talking about crashing the global economy for opium. Okay, fair. That would be kind of fun to do sometime. I wouldn't be against doing that. That would be pretty fun. No trade ports though, so you'd have to be in someone's like market, and then you couldn't really do it anyway, because your overlord would just be in charge. Well, unless you push south and you actually got that port, it is doable. Hard to do in an RP game though, to be fair. Single player easily. I could do that in single player. I could make one of those like clickbaity videos like all the big boys do. I turned Afghanistan into a drug pin empire. Have it like all in caps, and then have like a picture of Walter White on the front. I'd do very well, I'm sure. Time to flood the swamp. Goddamn right. I watched the... I already read that one. You realize how many staff there are? There are 40-something staff members in the server. That's quite a lot. To be fair, it still doesn't oftentimes feel like enough to run the games that we run. It really doesn't. Oh boy, this is a rough rehost. Do you know they're planning on adding more goods to base game? They've not put anything on the roadmap as far as I'm aware. I'm sure they will at some point. It'll be in a DLC for sure though. There's no way we'll get them for free. There's a lot of really good mods that add them though. I recommend checking out. Is Vic a good way to learn economics? That's a loaded question. Basic forms of it, yes. Like, so it's, you learn like supply and demand, I suppose, very well. Like I suppose you could learn the equivalent of like intro to fucking like macroeconomics 101 in college or something, just without all the technical nonsense. That's not right, but you know what I mean. Basic forms of it, yes. Economics is all bullshit. It's just an elaborate process we built to sustain greed. So I would advise, well, you do need to learn it. I don't know. Very basic portions of it. Like, when you get deep in economics, it's so complicated, and you can't put those sorts of things in this game, at least very well. Maybe. I think ones I found are the beer, milk / carpet one. Hey, there's a prostitution one. Just throwing that out there. I'm sure I saw a couple others out there. I'll have to go look again. Publishing industry. I'll link you guys a couple good mods to throw onto your playlist real quick. There's two really good ones. The publishing industry is fantastic. Bear with me. I think it's pretty high up, so I'm just gonna sort for a second here. Here's a good one. The AI barely knows what to do with it, but it is a very good mod. This is the publishing mod. Newspapers. Really bad when I tried it. I liked it, personally. It might be a different one. There's 2 of them, by the way, just so you know. Copper should be a trade good, yes. So that tweakers in your country can make a living. It's very important that the crackheads of your nation have a living. And the only way they're going to have one is copper. There's another one, but I'm not finding it. Nope, I'm not seeing it. I also will link our mod as well right now, just in case any of y'all want to play it. That's the one that we're using right now. John is going to be adding a bunch of new trade goods. What the fuck is he planning to add? I know he's adding guano. I think he's going to add copper. There's a couple other he wants to add too. That'll be in the summer update. Along with the authoritarian rework. Silver. Yeah. No, he actually already added silver, I think, didn't he? Or he figured out how to do it, I forget. Ivory. Yeah, true. That's important. What other ones are like really missing? Stocks. Oh, that was the one I was gonna link. There's a really good, it's in its early fucking stages. There's a banking mod. Now, in reality, banking will come in a $30 DLC. I want y'all to remember me saying that right now, because I'm gonna say I told you so. When they do that, it will definitely be a $30 DLC. It'll be like a banking or like commerce or economic DLC, some shit like that. 3rd or 4th DLC would be my guess. But until then, there's a mod that's trying to do it for free. If I can fucking find it. Is it called banking? Banks. Commerce? What the fuck is it called? I literally had it on my list. Fur and salt, chocolate, yeah, true. Fur should be really a thing, because it's still a really important European fashion, and that's why the Hudson Bay Company is so fucking rich. Banking. Securities, maybe? I know they add securities, which is so fucking cool. Here it is. This is an interesting one too. It needs a lot more work, but it's in the early stages and it's definitely worth checking out. Baking's too complicated for Paradox, to be honest. I agree, which is why they'll dumb it down and make it ridiculously boring, but they'll still sell it to us for $30. Prostitution mod has femboy strippers. Fucking based. Goddamn. I didn't know they had that. So you're telling me you can get femboy hooters in the prostitution mod? Is that what you're telling me? Fuck, we may need to add that to the mod, I'm gonna be honest. Damn. Playing Ecuador? Yeah, what's up, Fury? How's it going? Hell yeah. One of the devs had a green economics. Nice. They changed it. It's fucking bullshit, man. We actually made it in. It's a good sign. To be fair, 50 people all trying to join one person's host is always rough. Especially when it's unoptimized for multiplayer. Auto lag. Auto lag. It's literally just 48 dudes piling into a fucking Vic game is what this is right now. The worst part of every session is the 15 minutes I take to take attendance. Yeah, true. Doing staff jobs is not fun. What kind of fantasy mod sitting could Vic work in? There's a lot that could work in. The one that's going to be cool is Ambinar. Ambinar is doing a mod for Vic, which will be interesting. I'm looking forward to that one. I wouldn't be opposed to a Game of Thrones mod, but I don't think it'll ever get made. It would be okay. It wouldn't be amazing. But the Ambinar one is going to be the cool one. Yeah, Ambinar. Yup. There's a Wheel of Time mod in development. What? That's fucking cool. They're making a medieval European mod for this too, which I'm excited for. I just like the economic and population system. I don't really care what time period it's in. I think the modern day mod will be so good. The Cold War one is already really far. The medieval one, when it gets a little bit further along, will be really cool. Fantasy pops to give bonuses. Magical trading goods, yes. Yeah, there's already a bunch of trading goods they've added for Ambinar in the EU4 mod, which is their staple one. And they're going to be adding them in Ambinar, I'm sure, too, like Dame's Tier and shit like that. So it'll be cool. It's going to be right after the book's end. Yeah, we're going to run Cold War mod games, but we have to wait until they balance. It's just not fucking balanced right now, man. It's really not. So we got to wait a while longer on it, unfortunately. But that will be fantastic. Oh, once we get nukes and shit. Jet fighters. Fighting over actual oil resources in the Middle East. It'll be great. More water later. Whales? Whales are already, well, no, they're not in the game. You can do whaling, which gives you oil. Yeah. Playing as the Romans in Vic 3 would be sick. You can form it, I think, technically. I believe there is a way to do it. Alright, I'll stop clicking buttons. I'm gonna take my hands off. Go to the bathroom, grab some water. I'll be right back. Atlantis. Isn't someone making something similar to that for like a Vic mod? I saw it on the modding co-op. Something really like with an island nation or something. Maybe that was EU4, I forget. Can you model a terrain type that is like shallow water fields? Okay, this ain't the game for it. You probably could. I'm looking forward for when we get better graphical mods. I mean, like they kind of have it. Like, do you mean like this? Or do you mean like just like more of it that goes deeper and is more visible kind of thing? Like Game of Thrones mod did a really good job of that. That immediately comes to mind there. Because it looks like they kind of just have like a discoloration palette that they put on there on like the edges, almost like a shadow, really. It's not horrible, but it could certainly be a lot better. The biggest post you've ever done for Vic 3. Congrats, man. It was a lot of fun when you get into it. I do one post a week now. I do newspapers, and they're usually like 4 or 5 pages long. The most exciting gameplay here. Stop touching buttons. Buttons. You know what's been really fun recently too, that's been reminding me of my ever-present aging and moving towards death? Y'all, I have like fucking, I got white hairs when I was younger. It runs in my family hereditary. Hereditary, that's the one. Anyway, it runs in my family. Like my uncle, he had white hair by the time he turned 30. And I've been worried about it because what happened is he didn't have any white hair until the middle 20s, and then like in his late 20s he started to get white hair, and he went like all white in like 30 or 31 or something like that. And I started to get white hairs in my early 20s, but then they didn't go anywhere, and I was like, okay, that's cool. I can live with that. But now they're really coming in quick. And it's weird because when I was a kid, I always thought it would be cool to have white hair, like a white streak in my hair. But now it's just a reminder of my age. That's all it is. Every time I look at it, that's all I see. It's beautiful. Ah, so good. So good. I love it. At least you're able to colonize stuff. That's true. It's definitely better. When you hit 30, you start to relax, but I'm sure I will. I'm having my midlife crisis, I guess. Who knows? What is going on with the game? That's a very good question. I'm sure there's a stability issue problem or something like that. Just leave it to the dev team, not dev team, the GC team. They're handling it. In games as big as this, there will be things like this. It's just gonna happen. Okay, so the Prussians are launching the war, by the way. The play is to conquer Schleswig and to take the Danish Congo and Somaliland. So they will be also taking the Danish's colonial empire here, which is not unexpected. The Danish took like huge chunks of territory. No Greece? There's a Turkey. Oh no, that's a transfer play. A Wittelsbach? What? Huh. What's our son's traits? I actually haven't looked at that. He doesn't have any. He's 11. God. He's been wearing that monocle from a very young age. Alright, we're going. Cool. We're good. Praise the Lord. We actually are playing the game again. Yeah, our son really likes his monocle, doesn't he? Alfonso de Bourbon. He's a traditionalist landowner. Good lad. Good lad.
Hammurabae, can I speak to you about a GC issue?
Yeah, do you want me to mute and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be right back. I have to talk about a GC problem. So, mute up. Okay. Just administrative stuff. Back to the game. Turn the music back on too. There we go. Now the crab band shall rise. I am muted, yes. Okay. So like I said, we're kind of vibing right now. We've done most of the things I want to. King Carlos, primarily after he took power. He's also getting older now. We are 59, by the way. We have secured the regions that we've wanted to. So the only other war I think we'll probably fight today is we're going to annex Enta Karana. And then we have the rest of these islands besides the French and British ones, right? Yes. So we'll probably do one last war to take that, but that'll be it today. Beyond that, we're going to be working on our economy, and I want to go do some Diplo of the Holy Alliance in a few minutes, but I know they're trying to figure out the situation up there in the north. Still do have turmoil issues. We need a bit more governmental bureaucracy. Are we already lurking? No, we got to get another level of law enforcement. So we do need to build, I'd say another maybe 2 governmental buildings, but we'll wait. It is less important than actually developing our economy, which we're working on. I really want us to get a larger tax base here. We need, the problem is like our laws right now. We have a land-based tax system, which is fucking horrible. And then we also have a traditionalist economy, which is fucking horrible. So we got to get out of this. But until the industrialists get more power, which we're already working with, like in my RP posts, I've already talked about Contreras having large power in government and working even with the king. So, but until we get them into government, we really just will have to work with what we've got. Because there's no law changes we can do. The landowners really don't want you to pass anything, and they are so dominant right now. gonna lower taxes. I'm going to... That really doesn't give us a ton, though. We just have to develop. There's no around it at this point. We need to develop more. I am wanting to deficit spin, but it's really risky. The paper mills. When the paper mills are done, I will go... We should have a little bit more of an excess. We'll use that to build more construction sectors, and then we can speed up our development really quickly. If this was a single-player game, I wouldn't be worried, but this is multiplayer. Although many players don't metagame, they sure as fuck do develop, and they sure as fuck do max out every last construction thing they can, so we have to keep up. Right, we really do, so. What's up, Spaghetti? They're going very well. It's been a really fun game today. And then one day we'll get railroads too. 5 to 10 months to go, and then we'll be able to actually get access to all these mines in the mountains of Spain that we're really struggling to get goods out of. So we can do any more exports. Oh, we need art. Actually, don't we have an art building? I could have sworn the fucking AI, monkey AI, built one for us. Yeah, they did. Barely has any people in it. But there is a demand for it, because we are starting to build a wealthier upper class now, so we will start to get the demand for it. And we need to work more on heating. Let me look at something. Vic 3, good. Packages. Probably need more coal. That's the most efficient. Electricity is the most efficient way for heating, but I think coal's second. Yeah, coal. Wood works as well, but you need larger quantities of it. So we need to get access to a bunch more coal, which we do have on our building list. Modern sewage. Land trade, which is useful. Construction max level, meh. Infrastructure for people, good. Nice. That may have actually helped our market access issues. Yes, it did. That had completely cleared it out for everywhere except for Navarra. Navarra gets a ton of buildings that they can't sustain at the start, because in order to, I guess, do the Civil War, they put all the buildings on one place for the Carlists, which is really rough. I'm sure it's intended to kind of just be a place where you can retreat to, but it's quite inconvenient. Thank you for the follow. Trying to think how to say your name here. Shiner Ghost Shark? China Rag Ghost Shark. Thank you for the follow. Man, you're right. That is a name I am definitely struggling with. Okay, food industries, coal mines, textile mills, glass, the universities, and then we'll probably do more coal after that. When we get all this done, we're going to be in very good shape, but it will take us a while. Why is our economy slowing down now? What would be causing that? I'm not too sure. Just less competitive, more markets in the pool that we're exporting to, most likely, I suppose. See if we can export some ships. We can to the Americans. Some arms we will begin exporting to the... We'll export them to Naples. We do have a trade agreement with them after all. Sugar we will... we'll export some to the French. Cloth to Granada. And to Naples. And then that's about it. We have a deficit of almost everything else. Can we plug any of these holes right now? Hardwood from the Qing. Furniture from the Austrians. Luxury clothing. We still have such a big wood deficit. We'll import it from some of these small economies. Maybe the AI will compensate to export more to us. That'd be really nice.
Greetings.
Hello there.
Hello. This is a delegation from Brazil. We have come as inviters to the South American Congress. The Congress has approved a motion by His Majesty Emperor Pedro to invite both Iberian nations, Portugal and Spain, to come and observe and be a part of the South American Congress in regards to foreign relations of the nation. We feel like it's a good idea to more have a united policy of foreign relations with both yourself and the Portuguese.
You do us great honor, and I would be happy to send an ambassador. No, I'll send the foreign minister himself to attend the conference and speak on my behalf.
Well, that's very good to hear. The conference will be taking place very shortly. Portugal will be attending shortly too. All the member nations of the South American Congress are already present. So,
just looking for the channel here. I see it. I will be on my way.
Well, thank you very much. Welcome.
Hello there.
New Granada has declared war on me for no reason to humiliate me.
That's not true. That's a fact.
That is true. You can't lie about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's I'm not
Is
entirely
there
sure
some
what's going on
internal issue going on here? That what is going on?
No, it's a mystery about.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's happened. People with the defensive pact, one of them is apparently trying to humiliate the other. I don't know how it's happening.
What the f-
So New Granada has a territory now.
Yes.
New Granada? That's it. White
New
peace.
Granada, I think it might be a good idea to try and white peace or back down or whatever before this turns into a full-blown war.
Can we just, if the war starts, can we just immediately make a white peace?
That could work.
Like nobody gets any negatives from that, or not?
Yeah, that is true. So since that's the case, let's just ignore what's going on there.
Actually, you can't white peace because there has to be 0 on each part to be able, even if they are players.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Right. So Winnie is gonna have to bite the bullet and
Yeah,
back down, I
I
think.
New Granada, because he's the one that declared war on me.
There we go. Right. So now that diplomatic issue is out of the way, let us discuss our future relations between the South American nations and the 2 Iberian guests that we have got.
I would like to formally send the thanks of King Carlos for being given the honor to be present at this meeting. We look forward to good relations with all the sovereign and great states of South America.
Well,
the Portuguese delegation would also like to say that we look forward for this meeting. We share history, we share culture, we share religion. So the Portuguese delegation wishes to see a prospering South America to flourish.
Well, we're very glad to hear that in Brazil. I'm sure my fellow member nations are also very glad to hear that.
Yes, definitely.
Indeed.
Yes, of course. The representative from Venezuela welcomes Portugal and Spain to South America.
Ecuador, of course, who's a Spanish-speaking nation, welcomes Portugal and the Spanish.
We also welcome Spanish and the Portuguese.
Well,
Argentina, what about you?
they did welcome them, I believe. Yes. So I think it'd be prudent to discuss trade first and foremost between our 2 blocks. Is one way of saying it. Of course, the Portuguese and Spanish are separate, but being on the same land mass as we are, 2 blocks of interest in a way. But I have formed my own separate, as the Brazilian Empire. We've formed our own separate trade agreements with Spain and Portugal. It is of our belief that it would be of interest to form similar trade agreements across South America with both to sort of codify and simplify the trade between our continent and the continent of South America and the Hispanic nations overall.
So I assume one part of this is an interest in South America to access to higher quantities of more specialized goods. I mean, long ago when Portugal and Spain did rule here directly, that was always a major issue for many of your ruling class and your people in general. Is that part of what you are interested here in seeking, or is it more just broadly in terms of closer cooperation?
Well, Brazil in particular was looking more towards a broader cooperation, of course. What that entails is something that I think can be built over time, and is better defined through long relationships.
Of course.
I can't speak for all of my other member nations, of course, for what they seek to get out of these building relations. So if they wish to speak in their regards.
Well, we will certainly hope if New Granada and Spain and Portugal could build trade agreements together and strengthen our economy and relationships in hopes of a better future for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I would like to make some sort of trade agreement between our countries if we can, because Argentina is desperately short of a lot of goods, and it's really taking a toll on us.
Spain would like to make it very clear that we do at present have the diplomatic capacity for, I believe, 3, 4, possibly even 5 more trade agreements. And if South America does wish to pursue ties with Iberia and Spain, we are happy to discuss the signing of those today.
Presently, Portugal does not have the diplomatic capacity to do more trade agreements, but that will change in the future, and we will gladly do trade agreements with the South American countries.
And of course, Ecuador would love a trade agreement with the Iberian countries, as our, let's just say, economy is doing good, but if we get a trade agreement with one of the European nations, we think it will thrive more, as we don't have a lot of goods. Our nation is how to say it, restricted.
Well, certainly. I think. I think that this trade and these increasing relations are beneficial to both of us. It gives, obviously, a secure ally for both ends. Spain and Portugal can vouch for our nations in the theatre of Europe, and of course, we can financially and resource-wise support the Spanish and Portuguese in other ways, or diplomatically in other aspects across the world.
Spain fully intends to honor its words when last we spoke as to the championing of South American countries in Europe, who often have a habit of ignoring those in other regions that aren't Europe proper, as well as providing aid to your countries in pursuance of your autonomy and the maintaining of your sovereignty. We are fully committed to that. We spoke with Brazil, but since we are here at a larger meeting, I'm not sure how much His Highness has spoken about this, but Spain does wish to make it very clear. We are pursuing, obviously, to work with you all on an equal footing as good Christians and as sovereign states. And as part of that, in order for you to maintain your autonomy, we are interested in helping alongside Brazil, of course, in support of them to maintain your sovereignty, whether that be diplomatically or militarily.
Well, that's very good to hear. Once again, reaffirmed to our government I'm sure it's very nice to hear for the other many governments. It's been a deep worry in South America of European colonialism rearing its ugly head in our continent once again. As you know, there are European powers that own land in South America, and while we do not wish to form aggression, it is still a worrying prospect that eventually the European powers will turn and gaze on South America as potential colonialization targets, as they are currently to Africa.
It is
Well, we
always
definitely-
oh, sorry.
No, it's okay, Sven. You can go.
No. I've been speaking plenty. Go ahead.
No, yes, the Portuguese delegation would like to say that we do not wish to see South America being colonized once more. We do believe the way ahead is for future economic and diplomatic cooperation respecting your sovereignty as nations. Of course, that the Portuguese delegation and I think the Spanish one would agree that we would appreciate if in the region there is competition regarding influence in this area. We would be consulted to see if we can support you and continue our cooperation.
Well, certainly. I mean, of course, we'll. I think it's a unanimous agreement across this Congress that we should, for all intents and purposes, work towards greater integration of our foreign relations with the Hispanic nations. We should cooperate in the burgeoning relations and cooperation overall. I mean, if any member nation wishes to oppose that, then of course, speak now or offer an alternative.
No, that works for Argentina.
That's very good to hear then. So I think it's official. The South American Congress will officially push for greater relations and cooperation with the Spanish and Portuguese empires.
Very well. And on that matter, are there any states that are wishing to ratify a trade agreement with us at this time? I believe New Granada was interested.
Yes.
Ecuador would be interested.
Additionally, the Republic of Venezuela would be interested as well.
I guess Argentina would be too. I don't know if I can actually do that with you guys. I don't know if I can interact with you guys right now.
You would need to declare an interest in Iberia, which would allow you to trade with us, and it would allow us to send a trade agreement with you.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you have an extra declared interest, but if you do have
Oh
one.
no, none of it. I can't.
Yeah, I barely do.
Out of RP,
no,
a mechanical
just lost
suggestion, navies give them to you, so just gonna throw that out there.
Well, I can't afford a navy either.
Fair. That is the plight of small nations.
Can't afford
it. The other access would be I think it'd be like in a market that has trade agreements and stuff is the only real other access to it. So either joining the market and then or you know.
And what would be the opinion of this Congress for further increases in relations? For example, a shared customs union with a European power.
Well, as long as the European power is not a hostile one and isn't building towards the colonization of the region, then of course that is not something we have the power or would be likely to oppose.
Yes, of course. I think it must be stated that of the utmost importance that Spain or neither Portugal is willing to reaffirm a stance of colonization, but a shared unity, let's say, with the South American countries.
New Granada hopes that Venezuela would rather forge connections with South American countries rather than for European powers. We're rather concerned about this development.
Well, the Brazilian Empire, while while we are working towards building an eventual common market across South America to aid our own nations here, we cannot be opposed to nations within South America pursuing alternatives, as we are all independent, and that is truly what we stand for the most. Liberal rule and independence for peoples.
We do have a proposition. We were about to say it. For us to share common growth and common wealth, we could see an arrangement of custom unions. That means that the country that joins neither either Portuguese or Spanish or Brazilian custom unions, they are free to leave that custom unions at any point in time. Perhaps we could sort out a Portuguese custom union, a Spanish custom union, and a Brazilian custom union, since we are, from my understanding, the three major economies. For you to grow your economy, and if in time you see that benefits you to leave that custom union, you are free to go, because this is no way here try to keep you under our dominion. It's just a way to help you grow. I think that proposition could be, you could think about it.
Well, that's certainly something Brazil could agree with. However, we would prefer it to be referred to as a South American common market than a Brazilian one. We do not wish to hold any sort of power over the others, members of it.
Yes, that is true, but there is always be a need for one to be the leader of the common market, isn't it?
Oh, certainly, but I mean in the same strain as the current South American Congress.
Well,
the South American Congress is currently housed in Rio, but it does not mean that Rio is the dictator of the Congress.
The primary use of such a common market is monetary strength. I mean, correct. In the sense that the Brazilian currency is, I mean, no disrespect, obviously less valued than that of European currencies, but still much more compared to smaller countries. The strength there is the primary thing that gives you precedence. And as part of that injunction, if we do begin to cooperate and merge markets in a closer degree, I would like to suggest that my king is open to the Royal Bank of Spain purchasing large amounts of currency and using them jointly in transactions alongside Spanish currency as well, in order to provide more value to both your market, your economies, and your currency as a whole.
Well, that's very good to hear. I personally approve of those measures. The Brazilian Empire will approve of all the economic measures that have been proposed so far. Does any other member nation or visiting guest have any other proposals or any worries about the recent proposals?
Nope.
I do not. Argentina does not.
Nay
Ecuador
from
does not.
Venezuela.
We also have criminal problems. Good.
Well, that's very good. I think we can probably put it to a vote then. Does the South American Congress officially support a beginning of the common market system for the South American nations and the growth of our economies, as well as the Hispanic nations in Iberia? Does the South American Congress support that system of of three common markets based in Barcelona, Lisbon, and Rio?
Argentina agrees to that.
Venezuela agrees.
Ecuador agrees.
Well then, it is official. Which common market each nation will join is between each members. Of course, the Rio common market is open to all South American nations. So any who wish to join Rio, just speak. Obviously, if you wish to join the Spanish or Portuguese, discuss it with them as they are here.
hold up. So how is this working again? We're not going to be able to do just one big market. We kind of just have to pick between which ones we want to do. Sorry, I'm trying not to, I'm trying not to collapse over here, so can't put all of my attention on this, unfortunately.
So,
I know.
all right. Yeah, so effectively, we are setting up a system of a common market based in Rio, a common market based in Lisbon, and a common market based in Barcelona. You pick one of the three, essentially.
Okay.
Which one you think is either most beneficial, or which one you wish to join as your nation.
Okay, that sounds good then. I'm going to have to think about it.
That's very
Or
good.
Argentina will have to think about it.
Would the Congress like us to make a motion to appeal to those nations right now, or should we do it in private or later?
The other question is, would you would you prefer that we in Portugal simply stay out of it and wait for your decisions, or would you prefer that we go and talk with these countries individually?
Well, I think it's I think from here on now it's no longer a South American Congress issue unless someone else speaks. It's I think it's down to the individual nations as to which. The South American Congress has agreed that all actions are completely acceptable, so no other nation will raise a fuss. If you wish to speak on an individual level, then that is okay, and if you wish to speak here and now, then that is fine too. The South American Congress, however, will, unless someone has any other issues to raise up, be adjourned.
I have no more issues, yeah. I have nothing to bring up.
Well, the only thing I will mention is specifically with Argentina. Brazilian intervention into Uruguay will be commencing soon. The recent civil war has left a lot of issues, so as you can probably understand, and so under
You
our
have to bring peace to the area. I get it.
Certainly, under our previous agreements, we will intervene in Uruguay, and that will be it for Brazil. Do any of the Andes nations have any thing to say?
Venezuela does not.
You would not also that solution.
Does Ecuador have anything to say? Ecuador is muted. So I think that will be the Congress adjourned. Then we can all return to our capitals or enjoy the lovely delights that there are in Rio to enjoy, the beach, or any other things you may wish to visit.
The Spanish delegation would like to formally thank Brazil for hosting this and for all the South American nations for being involved. I will be returning home to Madrid to inform my king, and of course any of your delegations are welcome in Madrid if you would wish. Thank you all for the invitation.
Well, certainly. We're glad to have hosted you, and we're very glad to have had such a productive meeting.
And the Portuguese delegation it's very thankful as well to.
Cool. I did not expect that at all. I'd never talked to Brazil about something like this at all. So, to be fair, I think it's because their economies are really struggling, and Europe is so self-involved right now. I think a lot of them aren't finding places to export their goods and stuff. So, which we're happy for. I'm going to try and stay out of it and not lobby. I'm really hoping Argentina approaches us because they have a fuckload of wood we could use, but we'll see. This is kind of what I had hoped would happen. I didn't expect it to happen as quickly, because my take on this was that we approached South America very diplomatically and very supportively, which is what we've done. And my hope was that Britain would be so distracted elsewhere that it wouldn't reinforce its ties with these countries and would let them slip away, which is exactly what happened. And now they're looking back at their old colonial overlords to basically work with. And I have no interest there. Carlos has no interest in establishing direct rule or colonies here, so got exactly what I hoped for, honestly. Sometimes inaction is the best thing. But yeah, very unexpected. A welcome surprise, to be sure. Okay, turn the music back up too. How long do we have left? We have a little under an hour. God, this game goes so quickly. I'm just trying to focus on our economy for the last bit of things. We did get railways. I'm building a railway up in Navarra. The economy is still in many ways kind of stagnating. We can definitely have more construction facilities. I do want more declared interest, so we're going to go to skirmish. We're going to go to mobile artillery. And we're going to go to muskets. This is going to be expensive, but it will give us a lot of power projection and get us closer to the next rank slot, which will give us more declared interest, which we need. Until then, we'll also build, I think we could probably maintain 2 more. I'll build us one there, and then one in East Andalusia as well. And we are going to build up a much larger navy too. I have begun the process of building that up. I want us to get up to around 50 flotillas as soon as we can. One of the big goals for King Carlos was to rebuild the Spanish Main, so we now have the wealth to begin to do that. Navy also has many advantages in this game. Primarily, it is in declared interests, which are very useful. As you can see, I'd like to make a trade agreement with Argentina right now. I can't, because I don't have an extra declared interest slot to do diplomatic negotiations with them or to make trade deals, so it really is useful to have a good navy, period. It's also a good time, I think, to start a war against N10 Karana. I'll do a diplo play post real quick. N10 Karana. And we will begin it. You also need to go speak with Morocco, because there's a player on there now. Let's see where he's at. There's a big conference going on. Governor!
Oh, hello, King Carlos, how may I help you?
I have traveled here to Morocco, the first time stepping foot on heathen soil since General Adil saw victory for us in the end of the Reconquista. How goes the overseeing of the heathen lands?
Oh, I was actually planning on giving you a report on everything that's been going on, but I've seen the use of mandatory workers has helpfully grown on our economy, though it hasn't been a dramatic amount. It's helped quite a bit, but if you could see, the standard of living has dropped quite dramatically due to the lack of food and other resources they need, and quite frankly, we're starting to see the consequences of that with regards to several rebellions I am noticing, particularly in Inner Morocco, which I believe could be helped by some Muslim regional powers, and I'm suggesting potentially a more permanent Spanish troop presence in Inner Morocco to kind of deter these Muslim powers.
Governor, any troops you need will be given. We have plenty of good Catholic Christians who would be happy to fulfill our duty to God to bring this region into the light. Any troop requests you need, any ammunition or arms request, I will be happy to give them. All you do is need to ask, of course.
Though I do think getting trained soldiers as well, these people know the lands and quite well, and they will use that to their advantage. And there already has been reports of several soldiers' deaths. Well, it hasn't been a lot. I do see this trend increasing as our efforts for these mandatory work.
So there have been outright battles then? I was not aware of this.
Not battles, but there's been skirmishes between some of these regional Muslim powers, which I do believe is supplying arms to, and otherwise rebellious people to these.
Do we know, Governor? Do you have any knowledge on who exactly these groups are who are funding them? Because I think
not at all.
That is.
We have no clue. I do believe they could also be working with people inside of the French territories. So we can most likely work potentially. I'm not quite sure. I do know there's been some stuff going on there, though it hasn't been on the scale of Inner Morocco due to our more common use of mandatory workers, and also would say that we should do our best to keep these rebellions down. If the world were to figure out our quite a common use of these mandatory workers, it would not do very well for our international reputation.
Well, Governor, Morocco is an independent state, and as you well know, contractual labor is illegal in the Kingdom of Spain, to clarify. We do cede autonomy to colonial governors to choose their independent policies, but I cannot condone your actions here.
Well,
but I
do
also,
believe
as I said, I will cede that interest in that policy to yourself. Best for that to stay out of my ear. You understand?
Yes, but I will say I do believe the use of mandatory workers will be the best way for conversions and other ways of suppression.
As I said, Governor, you've been given authority to do as you see fit in Morocco, and as long as the result is the Christianization of the region, do whatever is required.
Of course. I do believe there are some troubled people who will never convert to the one true faith, and therefore they will take aggressive actions to get rid of our presence here, but that will not be allowed at all. And I do believe that a permanent Spanish troop presence, which will be on its way, will definitely do a lot to detour these aggressive actions against the one true faith.
Send me a report of anything needed, and General Rodil will handle the overseeing of troops sent to the region. The matter I did actually mainly come here to speak on is, as I'm sure you know, the Cross of St. Augustine is something I hope to see completed before I die. My age is coming on to me. My hair's turned gray and white, and I know that soon I will go to the Lord, but before then, I wish to see the great cross raised on the crossing, to show our faith and our conquest of the heathen. And I did wish to ask if the preliminary investigations to a proper site to build it on have been completed.
Mostly we have gone in a permanent area, and we can get some. We have a lot of labor, I'll put it at that, and we can get the resource. If we're able to get the resources, then labor will not be the issue. We can construct this, of course, with most likely oversight of Spanish soldiers, just to make sure every worker knows to do their job and not do any other mischievous acts.
Sloth is a sin. That is true. A hard worker is a good Christian. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm hoping that we can break ground on the cross before the year's end, and in the next year, of course, in 49. And we can begin the process. My architects tell me it will take a decade, but I'm sure with Christian spirit and a good work ethic, we can make that quicker.
I do believe if we really do put our minds to it with regards to our resources and any other labor, we could most likely beat all expectations regarding the completion date.
That is wonderful to hear, Governor. I'm very glad to hear that. Is there anything I can provide for your administrator and your rule here? Anything else besides those troops? Again, please do contact General Radio.
Yeah, I will contact him. I do believe the troops will all be it. I will get a intelligence report, if possible, though it will be very hard to get, and we can see if there are any Muslim regional powers who are supporting the rebellions. Then we can find out who that is, and they will face the consequences of doing so.
Good. The sword. The sword if the rod does not work, Governor. Always.
Mm-hmm.
Very well. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to see your progress, and I will stay tonight and then return home to Madrid. It's been a pleasure, and we wish you the best, and may God guide you in your actions, Governor.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Goodbye.
Farewell. Oh boy. Mandatory workers. We're going to pursue a policy that, as always, the king doesn't know anything about such matters and isn't involved, so that's a colonial issue. He does have the slave trade active. Alright, we're going to end the last of the subjugation of Madagascar here. Oh my god, just instantly annexed. Oh, the Marina Kingdom did it themselves. Okay. Did they change their interest to us? They did. Let's offer them a trade agreement. And then I'm going to start importing wood from them immediately. Because that's going to be some cheap fucking wood. Yes, it is. Hell yeah. Will Puppet Morocco actually convert the population to Catholicism? No, unfortunately they won't. We'll just have to RP it. It sucks. You have to annex and then you have to like manually like assimilate to get conversions. Unfortunately, because it's a decree. Oh, what's it called?
Greetings. Is the delegate from Spain available? This is the foreign delegate from Venezuela.
Hello there. I'm the foreign minister for King Carlos of Spain. I deal with all matters of state, including our friends in Venezuela. What brings you to the court of King Carlos?
Yes, thank you for receiving me, sir. Pending the results from the South American Congress, I believe we have come to a diplomatic resolution in Venezuela with the support of President Vargas and General Olmedo. With the backing of the South American states, we would formally request to join the Spanish Customs Union.
We'd be happy to work it out. Obviously, you do understand everything involved, but you would be ceding over your own currency and monetary policy to that of the Bank of the Royal Bank of Spain, but obviously gain full access to tariff-free markets within the Spanish Empire. You are aware of the consequences of this, yes?
Yes, we are aware of the terms of agreement. However, we would like to once again press the issue that Venezuela is a sovereign state, and we'd be willing to support the Spanish crown in times of defense and.
Well, it's not required. If you are in our market, it is not required you give military help. If you were willing to, that would be very good of you. But we do not expect anything like that. We have no power over your government, but we do have power over our monetary currency of which you would use.
Yes, the Republic of Venezuela finds these terms fair.
Very well. In that case, I will formally extend you the offer after I get Why can't I do this? Not part of a customs union. You have to request it from us, I think.
Okay, one second.
Very well. I think out of RP, a drafting of like a proper treaty and stuff like that would be worth doing too, because I do want to make sure that we do it well. So anything that I can work on it this week if you'd like, or if you want to help out with it, you can. Up to you. But just send me like any specific terms you might want to be in such a treaty, whatever you'd really like, relating to just monetary policy and things like that.
Yeah, no. If I could do the treaty, that'd be fun. And yeah, I can do it after the game.
Sounds good. Cool. Let me take a look at things very briefly. Oh, I forgot. There's a play now for market status. We did add that.
So, yeah, it's humiliate Venezuela. Are they agreement?
Fuck. I think. Do you get humiliation for it?
I don't know. This is the first time I'm playing this mod, so.
Yeah. I think we added that because we wanted to like give like we wanted to add some things that would make just joining a customs union worse. So you lose like prestige for a little while, but then you do get it back. And just so you also know, I do get part of your minting, just so you know. That's in the mod too. Because minting obviously comes from, you know, the monetary, the producer of the currencies. Though if you want to roleplay out something like we establish like a mint in like Caracas and I give you subsidies or something, I'm fine with that in the future too.
Yeah, that's no big deal. I'll send you some. I'll DM you some stuff, and then we'll bounce.
Sure.
I just really want to clear up the storyline between Vargas and Olmedo, making sure like, hey, we came to a diplomatic resolution. We didn't overthrow the intelligentsia.
Out of RP, are you gonna try and still oust him, or are you just gonna go this route and curious? Okay. That's okay. Well, we're gonna go spicy then. Would you like to go with me and speak with the Brazilians?
Yeah.